message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS Peter.
The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void. It is Moon Day, the Virgo moon, March the 9th on into the 10th. And Mercury is finally about to go direct. And tonight, Jay Layton is back with us, metaphysicist, author, spiritual coach, NLP practitioner, is back with us again. And I've actually had a session with Jay, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to kind of talk about that stuff too. So we're going to get into the power of the mind, the subconscious, hypnosis, spirituality. We're going to talk about the coronavirus. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff, actually, some deep stuff tonight. There's some big cycles that are shifting right now. I can tell you because I felt it, all right? So that's coming up and more. Also, I want to thank our sponsors at GetTheTea.com. Right now is the best time to buy at GetTheTea.com. Also at AncientLifeOil.com. Really the best time to buy at AncientLifeOil.com. Everything's 20 to 15% off. And even cheaper than that if you get a subscription, too. They have a subscription service now, so things are changing. And a lot of things are changing for a lot of people right now. But we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Also want to thank Metaphorical Archaeology, Barbara Sharpton over there. If you've had a paranormal experience that caused you any trauma or post-traumatic stress, give them a call pro bono via the Fringe FM. Just say, the Fringe FM sent you. Had a fun week last week. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I know everybody's kind of afraid with this whole coronavirus thing, kicking up and the CDC announcing stuff. And, we're gonna get into that. There's a lot of polarity going on, a lot of fighting, backbiting, politics, fear mongering, but also legitimate fears as well. You don't want. There's some gray area here, I think, and people tend to get on one side of the fence or the other. So we're going to discuss that too. And if you want to keep a journalistic approach to ufology, please follow UFO Seekers at UFO Seekers on Twitter, and also youtube.com/UFO Seekers, where you can catch all the new seasons. Tonight after the show, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable will be on. And this week, we're going to have a round of fabulous guests. Joshua P. Warren will be here tomorrow night. Laura London will be here Wednesday night. We're going to be talking about Jung. And, it's going to be fun, man. We're going to have a blast. We're going to have a hell of a week, as usual. Pacho is doing such a good job. Oh, yeah, Thursday, sorry. Daryl E. Berry Jr. And then Friday, we're going to have Barbara back on. We're going to talk about some haunted stuff, too, when she comes back on. But Pacho's doing such a good job. I mean, the guests are just getting better and better. And then some of the guests that are returning, like Jay here, it's a good thing because we're getting the message out. Jay is probably, honestly, if I was to be super honest with you about this coronavirus thing and about our mindset, he's probably the perfect person to discuss this with. And as you all know, I wanted to do a group kind of meditation thing. So we've kind of worked this out in a different way with Jay, where he's going to be releasing something for this. But if you want to do this, I'm going to do it at midnight Eastern. And I'm not going to tell you how to meditate or guide you through it or anything like that. But that's when it's going to happen. So at midnight Eastern, during that break, that's when we're going to do the meditation. However you want to do it, prayer, whatever it is that you do to dissipate the coronavirus, to visualize it, to get involved with it, dissipate the fear especially, because whether people want to admit it or not, no matter how logical they are, if they believe in metaphysics at all, spirituality, or, well, let's just say science, if they believe in the double slit experiment, then fear manifests things even worse. Trust me when I say this. I mean, it's not like we're in denial here, that's what they think. But Fear makes it worse, period. Always does. May even manifest it worse. We'll discuss that too. Okay, and this week, by the end of this week, the weekend, I'm saying it here so I can make sure that it happens. The Void Walkers member section will be up. It's going to be $10 a month. Not all of the commercial-free archives are going to be on there, but we're going to be adding them weekly. There's going to be also guided meditations, but guided meditations that are like going to be all about mainly the questions that you ask me. There's also going to be, and this is all in my voice too, okay, and effects and all that stuff too. There's also going to be some dream journaling and short stories, and then we're going to have for the members a special Void Walkers room where once a week we can all get into a voice hangout and just talk to each other. So it'll be worth $10 a month. Just the commercial-free archives alone, once we get them all in there, it's going to be worth $10 a month. And then hopefully once we build that up, I don't have to beg you guys for money anymore. Wouldn't that be nice? All right. Now let's bring on our guest. Layton is a metaphysicist, author, spiritual coach, NLP practitioner, present on the board of directors of the Masters of Octave nonprofit organization, and creator of the Soul's Dream online course, and his quest for answers to the age-old questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? Started at a very young age, and his curiosity led him to study meditation, dreams, astral travel, channeling, and hypnotherapy. Jay has published 2 books. I Am Understanding Who and What You Are, Volume 1, and this book is a compilation of his first year of channelings in 2006, and a short time later, his second publication, The Quick Guide to Oneness, was printed. And this year in 2019, Jay released The Soul's Dream, which is an online course that is designed to awaken you to who you really are and why you're really here. It is his gift to the world, and it is 100% free, right? JLayton.com, thesoulsdream.com, and themastersoctave.org. Jay, man, it's good to have you back, brother.
What's up, brother? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
very excited. I'm very excited to be back with you on the show.
Yeah, I've told people last time when you was on here, when I did, because, you know, when I was expressing to you how scared I was of hypnotherapy, I was like, I don't like the idea of somebody else in control of my mind, you know. But I did do a session with you, and it was rather revealing, and it was kind of cool, too, because when I played back the recording, there was a moment where I didn't remember. I was like, I remember that, but there was I actually don't remember. So I went deep, you know what I mean? And, and it, you want to know what it did? Like, it initiated, and nobody knows this, but it was a part of like this initiated process of me really letting something go. And that's when it began. And it was funny because when I talked to you about it, since it's Moon Day, right? You and I had a discussion about the energies and the cycles of the moon. And I didn't even know you was kind of like into that stuff, you know, like the way I was, but you were. Yeah. And then you were telling me like, hey man, you got to pay attention to this stuff. It's in everybody, especially people or, you know, that have water signs, especially like females that have water signs, all kinds of stuff. We talked about it forever. And it was a cool conversation, man. Changed a lot of stuff for me. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah.
So how fitting is it to come back on Monday on the full moon in Venus, right?
It's perfect. Right. It's perfect. Right. I think, you know, like it's perfect because, and I don't know. Yeah. It just kind of works out that way, doesn't it? But
yeah, I meant Virgo.
Yeah, I know you meant Virgo. So I'm sure everybody knows what you meant, man. But here's the thing. Like, what have you been up to lately? How many people signed up to your course after I talked to you last?
Yeah, your show was fantastic. We had about 103 people sign up from the course from your show. It's fantastic.
103 lovely void walkers.
Yeah. And a lot of great comments came back and how they were enjoying it, and it went really, really well. It went good. And hopefully this time, thesoulsdream.com, if anybody wants to understand who and what they are, where we're headed, check it out. It's absolutely free. And there's a lot of information. A lot.
So how hard is it being an earthbound mystic right now while the coronavirus is scaring the hell out of everybody? How's it working out for you?
It's easy. The thing is you just got to understand you and how to master yourself. It's all about going internal, not about external. It's about shutting down the external stimuli, the stuff outside, and really staying within yourself. And that's where your strength is. But it is interesting, I have to say, everybody collectively that I'm speaking to all around are having the same symptoms of the last week and a half. Everybody's extremely drained. Like everyone's like 8 o'clock comes, I am ready for bed. Like I am just exhausted. So I don't know if it's something in the heavens or if it's a collective consciousness with this coronavirus being worldwide as a species. We're feeling something collectively. Even the people who don't watch the news are still feeling some kind of effect from something that's happening right now. It's very interesting to see how many people are really feeling, this lethargic feeling that's coming in over the last week.
Yeah.
Have you been feeling that at all? Have you been?
Man, well, I've been feeling. Let me tell you what I experienced last week. Like a lot of pacing around, but nothing really happening, and like lack of everything. Yeah, when I say everything, I say like everything materially, money and all that stuff. I had a whole bunch of bills come due like all at once, and then some money situations that weren't adding up right, and I was like, "Oh, this is weird." Like it always happens like this. I feel like sometimes, but not really always. Just when something's about to break, I think usually, something's about to change. You can feel it.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that a little bit later in the show about what's changing and how amazing it is. Really, we're all in this like cusp of this like mass change that's happening. So it's pretty awesome. I mean, obviously, what's going on, it's really a wake up call for everybody. But what's to come soon is going to be very, very awesome. So I'm excited.
How do we deal with that? How do we stay locked into our goals and becoming who we are and all this stuff when the world's getting in the way? And I mean, we're looking on TV and watching all these people talk about death and watching the stock market crash. And I'm listening to people argue back and forth like, well, people saying, don't give in to the fear. And the other ones are going, you're dumb because you're just so anti-conspiracy. You don't see the truth. I've got people sending me documents saying this is what's going on. And it sounds intelligent enough, but I can't get a source from anybody. And they're like, you're a responsible broadcaster. You're the one that's supposed to be telling people about this. And I'm all twisted up, man. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know if I should do anything about it. I wanted to do a meditation, but the energies are weird, honestly.
Yeah, so they say if you watch the news, you're misinformed, and if you don't watch the news, you're not informed, right? So it's like this whole thing with the news, turn it off. If it's in your town, if something is happening in your town, in front of you, something that you have to handle right then and there, then you can take on those emotions of the fear. But to sit there and watch this just push and push and push of fear, when it's nowhere near you, you're only making yourself completely nuts. That's all it's doing. It's just filling you up with fear. And honestly, I watch the news for 2 seconds and I feel anxiety inside of me. Like, I don't watch the news at all. I'm like, turn the news on. I'm like, holy shit, like the world's coming to an end.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, here's my thing. Like, if they're going to talk about the CDC's kind of prepping people for hospital stays and stuff, they're just prepping people to get ready for it, right?
Right.
Let's just say for a moment that this is an actual like breakout or whatever that's bigger than usual. It's still not going to change the fact that we have other diseases that are killing more people at higher rates, that are contagious, and they're still out there. That's including the flu. So just be, take care of your body, keep your immune system up, be safe, wash your hands, that kind of thing, and don't be stupid with it. And I think everything will be fine. But who knows, man? I'm sure there were a lot of people saying, and see, this is where I get tossed up, man. I'm sure there were a lot of people saying, oh, that back in the day when there was a black plague, newspapers coming out saying, no, it's just fear or whatever. And then, everybody just gets canned from the thing. So I got to tell you, all I know is that they're not giving us the solutions. They're talking like politics. They're talking, like it's Trump. And he's like, oh, the Democrats are doing this to me. Like, Jesus, man, does the world revolve around you? And then the Democrats are pushing it. And then it's like everybody's pushing this weird agenda, and I'm not hearing any other solutions. No solutions. If it was really that important, they should, in my mind, if they were that worried about it, then everybody should have a cotton swab in their mailbox right now so they can start quarantining this thing if it was that bad,
Right.
But I don't know, man. Just don't know.
I definitely have some solutions, and I'm very, very excited to share this with the audience today, because it's really not so much like I was saying about the external. It's really about the internal environment. It's about our minds and how powerful our minds are. I mean, it's just incredible how powerful our minds are. And we have seen this case study after case study after case study of people miraculously healing themselves or just doing incredible feats just by their belief. So what's happening with the news is they're putting us into a state of fear. And I'm going to get into the biology in a little bit of what happens when we get into a state of fear. But we can't critically think in a state of fear. So we don't have access to being centered. And like I said before, if I watch the news for 2 seconds now, I feel the anxiety inside of me. It's like it's built to create that anxiety. So I actually, it's late here. We're in Jersey. It's like 12 o'clock. So I was sitting around for 2 hours. I'm like, you know what? Let me crunch some numbers, right? And throw some numbers out here. So let's go back to 1997, the year that I graduated, right? Chilling in my truck, driving.
Right on.
We're coming up to the year 2000. What's coming up? Y2K. The computer systems are going to crash because we can't add the extra zero onto the computer system. They weren't built for that. Y2K is going to crash everything. The banks are going to collapse. This is it. It's over, guys. What happens? Nothing happened. Okay. 2001, anthrax comes in. People are getting crazy, right? 5 people die, 17 people are sick. Crazy news propaganda going on. All right, that fades out. 2002, the next year, what happens? West Nile virus. 4,000 cases of West Nile virus. 284 people perish. All right, that goes away. 2003, we have SARS. 813 fatalities. 2005, bird flu. 50 people perish. 2006, E. coli. Think about this.
I remember that was the lettuce thing, right? Yeah, that's what it was.
Patterns, yeah. 2001, 2002, 2003, 2005, 2006, right? So there was 200 people that were infected with E. coli. What happens in 2008? The economy crashes. Everything's going to shit. The market's down. The bubble popped. Shit's going hit the fan. That's it. We are completely done for. 2009, swine flu comes around. This is the first pandemic that we really have. And this is where 203,000 people perished, that's quite a bit, you know? And then we go to 2010, we're past the swine flu. BP decides to fill the West Coast up with oil. Now it's like, that's it. The oceans are done. It's going to get into the jet streams of the water. It's going to destroy all the oceans. We only have 5 years to live. That's it. Completely gone. Well, that kind of faded out. The next big thing, 2012, the end of time. The Mayan calendar has predicted we're all going to die. That's it. It's the end of time. Now, what's really going to happen, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, about the 2012 marker. It was the end of time. It was the end of an age, an end of a descension process. Now we're moving to this thing called ascension. But the 2012 was really the ending of the old paradigm as we move into the new paradigm. So then that was the end of 2012. Everybody made it through. December 21st happened. December 22nd happened. We're here. We're like, oh, we made it. We're good to go. 2013, we're going to war with Korea. Everybody's up in arms. Oh, Korea has nuclear bombs. This is going to be crazy. Blah, 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 blah. That passes. 2014, Ebola virus happens. 11,000 people perish in the Ebola. And then we have the next year, 2005, we have measles. 600 people perish. And then the same time, we have ISIS coming in. So all this stuff is happening with measles, ISIS, very stressful time. 2016 comes, the Zika virus. But only one person passed away with the Zika virus. It wasn't very fatal. But when you watch the news in 2016, you've seen the Zika virus. It was nuts, right? Now the next one, 2020, the coronavirus comes out. Now to date, as of an hour and a half ago, there are 114,422 cases of the coronavirus worldwide. 4,027 deaths. 64,081 have recovered already. So that means that more than 50% have already recovered. And that only 3.5%, not only, I mean, I'm not saying that, dying is something, it's part of life, but 3.5% of the cases have passed on. So if you add up all of that together, all from 2001, from anthrax all the way down to the coronavirus, there have been 223,419 deaths, parishes, right? That's quite a bit.
Yeah, it is.
But now if you think about this, it says, I looked at this ad, I pulled this up, I heard about this a while ago. New research estimates that in the United States, between 250,000 and 450,000 Americans are dying annually from preventable hospital errors. This puts the medical errors as the third leading cause of death in the United States. We're talking 250 to 440,000 people every year. Now, to put that in comparison, that's 27 747s planes going down every week for a whole year.
Wow.
Think about that. That's insane. So we're talking 250,000. That's more than from 2001 to now, more every single year that are transitioning. Okay? So you can see every year there's a new fear coming out, a new I'm not going to say propaganda, but it is a propaganda, because what it's all about, it's about controlling the populace through their mind. Okay, so right now where I live, there's no immediate threat, but everybody that watches the news is living in a state of threat. Like their whole lives, I mean, the shelves are empty when it comes to toilet paper and water and everything else. People are going absolutely nuts in their own heads, right? I mean, and I don't say don't go for precautions and go buy stuff. Definitely, if you feel the urge to go and buy stuff, definitely buy it. But do it without fear. Because what fear is doing is the fear is what's killing us. It's the fear. And I'm going to share that with you through Bruce Lipton's work through cell biology called epigenetics. And once we understand how epigenetics works within inside of us and how our consciousness, our mind, is in control of our whole entire body, and when we let this outside environment, the AKA the news, control our internal environment, it's doing it remotely. Nothing is happening around us. And yet our body is experiencing it as if it's happening to us right now because it's shutting itself down. It's shutting itself down.
Well, anybody that's ever had a panic attack kind of knows what the mind can do to the body, because a panic attack comes out of nowhere. It's not like you feel it coming and you can stop it. It just, boom, comes out of nowhere from deep-seated stuff that's been buried into your subconscious for a long time. So
yeah.
Those
are my favorite kind of people to work with, because if you think about what a panic attack is, right, there's absolutely nothing happening externally to you, right? It's all internal. You have a thought, all of a sudden you start going with that thought. Oh, I feel like I'm having a heart attack. Just compounds. And before you know it, you're having a full-blown heart attack, which feels like a heart attack, but it's really just a panic attack. And you're like, I'm dying. This is it. It's over. Because I've had panic attacks when I was younger. I mean, it feels like you
terrible.
are dying.
Yeah.
It's bad. Yeah. So, but what happens is there's nothing happening externally. It's all happening internally. So why they're my favorite people to work with is because they have an amazing imagination. And when you can take that imagination and direct it towards something, a goal or something that they desire to experience in their lives, they can manifest it very easily because their imagination is so strong. It's so strong.
Yeah, because I had panic disorder for like 2 years, and they put me on every pill known to man, but I beat it naturally, and it took time. I had to retrain. Yeah. You know what I had to do? The first thing I had to do is retrain myself to relax, like without any substances or anything like that. A lot of people, when they recover from things, they go through rehab, all of that kind of stuff. Like I didn't have that option, so I had to do this on my own, and it was hard, man. Like I lost a lot of friends. There was certain family members were tired of putting up with me, but I was in a battle. And you know what cured it, man? Yeah. After I learned how to relax, after that, it took a while, but what cured it was sunlight, exercise, and laughter. And I'm not playing. Well, not only
100%.
that, but facing fears too. I would set goals to face new fears and just start beating them one at a time. But that on top of sunlight, laughter, and exercise, eventually it went away, you know, like it. And then I thought I was plagued with it, man. I thought I'm never going to recover from this. I'm going to be crazy for the rest of my life. I'm going to have like anxiety attacks. I don't even want to live in this kind of life, you know?
Yeah.
But it was that thought process you're talking about, man, that I had to retrain.
It is. It's 100% your thought process. We are not trees. We're not stuck. We are not stuck. We can manifest a completely different new image, a new reality, a new expression, just by putting our attention and our intention in a specific direction. The thing is that's how the universe works. So if I was to ask you, Joe, you can have anything you want. What are you willing to pay for it?
Anything I want.
Think of something you want. Think of just anything. Think of something.
Okay. I'm good. What am I willing to pay for it?
What do you want to pay for it?
Probably several $1 million, I would think. This is probably more than that.
So, all right, $7 million. Now, here's the thing. The universe does not work in promissory notes. No idea. The promissory note, the money concept, is a man-made concept. The universe does not use money to create. What it uses is your intention, your emotions, and your time. How much time are you willing to give that thing that you desire to have expression? How much energy, how much mind power, willpower, emotions are you willing to drive into the experience that you want to have? Because whatever it is you want, it's a thing or person, it's just an experience. Right. So how much are you willing to dive into pushing your energy to that experience? And it's through your emotions. Now, we talked about this last time on the show about how our mind is a magnet and our heart is a magnet. Once you start visualizing, right, it's about seeing the thing that you desire and emotionalizing the thing that you desire. You then start becoming a magnet to draw that thing to you. This is how the universe works. This is exactly, it's not about monetary stuff. It's about energy and time and how much time you're willing to put in to the experience. Just like you were saying before, it took time for you to overcome that state of mind that you were in by going into sunlight, exercising, and laughter, right? It took time for you to change the behavior to have a new behavior. The new behavior is where you're experiencing life without the panic attacks.
Right. Well, you know what, though? Honestly, I got to take a break here. I'm above break. I want to continue this. But I will say this before we go into break. Sorry to cut you off, brother. But
no,
here's the thing. Man. I didn't do it totally alone. You know, I had help.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that, too. We'll be right back. We'll do this meditation the next break, so that's going to be 1 a.m. Eastern, midnight my time, actually, sorry.
Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right. Construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
All right, man, this is Crow 777, and you are listening to The Fringe FM.
Right, me old Chiners. I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me babble. If, like me, you found your way to Lighting the Void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality, to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of The Fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
From a cave in the depths of your mind, it's Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Hey, I'm J.M. DeBoard, and when I want to talk about dreams, I look up my man Joe Roop and his show, Lighting the Void.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're live on the Fringe FM every single night, well, Monday through Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight. You can help the show out by donating. Go to Lighting the Void. Scroll down till you see a big fat button that says donate. And if you find anything that you like about the show, love, whatever, donate. Also, you can grab some swag, too, there at the store. And thank you for all of your support and all of you that have been supporting. You have no idea what you've done for the show. Jay Layton, our guest tonight. Before the break, we were talking about emotions and the mind, the coronavirus, all this crazy stuff going on, and the new moon that's here. Do you think it all has something to do with each other, like it all runs together? Jay?
Oh, 1,000. Yeah, 100%.
What? What is it about the moon that, you know, before we get back into the emotions and stuff and all that thing, what is it? Like the moon is a magic trigger for sure, isn't it? It really is. It's directly connected to us in big ways. I believe that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, when you look at astrology, I mean, the sun and the moon, and from our perspective, when you look up, right, they're the exact same size. You know, science says, you know, it's so far away, so everything looks relative based on the distance and the size and all that good stuff. But from our perspective, they're exactly the same size. And there's a reason for that, because they influence us so deeply. I mean, most people don't understand that we're still using the sun every single day with everything we do. Everything we do, we base our stuff off time. Time is based on the positioning of the sun, right? But back in the day, we used to use a sundial. Now we use a clock, but it's still based on the positioning of the sun. Our days of the week are based on the positioning of the planets, the 7 planets. And the way that we got our days of the week was based on the distance. And then if you look at our months, it's based on the moon, the moon cycle. And the year is the whole 360-degree cycle of the sun. So our whole entire relationship is still based in the stars, but we have forgotten this. Our ancestors knew this very well. Like the Mayans, they would name their children the day that they were born. They would name them the day that they were born. So when you met somebody, you knew their whole makeup, their whole persona, because you knew the date they were born. So
yeah,
Baktun 1, whatever that would be, you know, December 5th. So you would know that obviously he's a Sagittarian, 15 degrees, and they understood astrology so much more deeper than we knew it. But when you look at the moon, the reason the moon is so interesting is because it pulls on our emotions, right? It's a major magnet, and it pulls on the water. So water is our emotions. When you get upset, what do? You cry, you release water, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at tides of the oceans, the moon pulls on the tides of the oceans. We're made up of anywhere between 60 and 90% water, depending on your age. And that pulls on the waters inside of us, which elates our emotions and expression. So when the full moon comes out, that's why they say, you know, things go crazy, hospital visits go up, more police calls are made, you know, all this stuff is happening. They call people lunatics who go crazy, right? Luna, which is the moon, lunatics, because the emotions are so high or heightened. And it's because of this magnetic pull from the moon. And it's actually been demonstrated that the moon actually emanates its own light, completely separate from the moon. Like we look at right now it's a full moon. We say, oh, that's the light of the sun.
The reflection of the sun. You're saying it emanates its own light. There's science coming out showing that it actually emanates its own light. And it shows that one of the interesting characteristics of the moonlight is that it's actually warmer in the shade. Now the sun is opposite, right? The sun is hotter in direct sunlight, but the moon is actually warmer in the shade, which is pretty interesting. And it's a different light. But when you look at, you're talking about when you started the show a little bit of quantum physics and the double slit experiment. When you're looking into quantum physics, and we're really moving into that understanding now that everything is energy. And what was interesting about the double slit experiment is it showed how consciousness really plays a major role in how everything, the particles around us, are forming into reality, forming into matter. So the stars play a massive role in projecting light, right? Light is frequency, but it also projects sound. So if you go onto, you just go onto YouTube and say Sound of the Stars, you'll see NASA's all their little sounds of each star and the constellations. And then when you look at the constellations, you group a bunch of stars together and it creates a symphony of what? Of information, of data. Light and sound are information. When you watch your TV, what are you doing? You're watching light and sound, data configured to such a way that you can then relate to what that is. We have forgotten how to relate to the stars' data, the stars' information. Now, our ancient cultures, they were very keen on how to do that, and they built these big megalithic temples that we still have no idea how they built them, but they built these huge megalithic temples all around the world
in order to capture the information that is being broadcasted from the stars, from the constellations. And then they would bring it into the civilization and use that energy for things such as stargates, for things such as energy, for food production. And this, they would use it in so many different ways. When you look at, I think we talked about this last time too, when you look at our technology today, right? Our technology is all based on wavelengths of light and sound. And we use a silicon chip. We're moving into different chips now, different chipsets, but forever, the silicon chip was the major chip that was inside of our phones, inside of our computers. It gave us the ability to tap into the Ethernet, right? If you look at ether, what is ether? Ether is spirit. We call it Ethernet. And all of a sudden, we have access to everything around the world as if we're tapping into spirit collectively, but we're using this mechanism called the computer. So what our ancient cultures were doing is they were using the silicon chip, which is rock, right? Limestone, silicon, crystal. These big giant temples are made out of silicon. And they understood how to align these temples. I mean, the alignments are so precise to these star constellations. They would align them to such a way that they were able to draw in that information and then turn it into usable information, just like we turn light and sound and microwave data into a television signal, or into a signal that you can hear on the radio so that we can talk to each other, or into a cell phone signal. They were able to take that signal from the stars and turn it into a communication where they could use it throughout their society.
Yeah.
So, but the sun and the moon really play a huge role in our everyday experience. And then once you get out into the local stars, the 7 closest stars, they all play their role, but the further they get, the more collectively they get. So when you look at like Neptune, Pluto.
Yeah, the more the energies are collective, right? Yeah, I know what you're saying, right?
A collective experience where we're all kind of collectively, just like.
But there's some deep stuff there, man. I got this book about I don't want to cut you off, but I got this. What's this? Richard Allen Miller was on here. He told me to get this book by Isabella Hickey called. What is this name of this book? The Choice is Yours, Minerva or Pluto by Isabella M. Hickey. And it talks about how like Pluto, wherever that is in our chart, is like some really deep stuff we've been working out, but it's generational. Like a lot of people are working it out too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty scary, but even back to what you're saying, it's scary, but it's also good. But even back to what you're saying, like the Rosicrucians, when they first start teaching you magic, they tell you when you do your rituals and stuff, they want you to like chart where the sun and the moon is. That's the first thing they want you to do. Where's the sun? What sign is the sun and the moon in? And what phase of the moon it's in. So you can journal everything that happens, because they know inherently that you're going to see the cycles. That's why they want you to do it, because you're going to start noticing them.
Yeah.
Pretty trippy stuff, man.
Not to mention that there is information. There's beneficial information there that is applicable, that can be used in your everyday life. Like it's incredible how much information is being pumped in here that we're completely we're blind to. We're in this.
So
it's just amazing. It's so amazing.
What you're saying, how would you use that? Let's say for the people that can't shake their fear about the virus, right? And look, again, I'm not saying the virus isn't real and it's not killing people. I'm not saying that, but I guarantee you, comment on this first before we do this.
Okay.
Because you have been, but I guarantee you, your fear about it is not going to make it any better. It's going to make it worse. It's going to make it more real.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to manifest here in the physical plane like no other. I mean, look, when the stock market crashes, it crashes. Have you ever seen the market go up 2,000-3,000 points? No, but when it crashes, it'll crash like crazy because fear is powerful and it manifests fast. And that's the point about fear, that it's like we're not in denial about things, but it's stupid to give into it at the same time, just because there's not much you can do about certain things anyways.
Well, what it is, it's just unconscious. It's unconsciousness. So really the goal of life is to be a master of your experience, of your expression, right? So your only responsibility, and I say this in the course, your only responsibility is to be responsible with how you respond. And that's it. So no matter what's happening externally, how you internally process the external world, how you respond instead of reacting, right? When we react, we're using instinct based on old programming. But when we respond, we're actually living in the moment, and we're able to see what's happening and respond consciously to what's happening rather than going unconscious. So when you talk about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, when you go unconscious, you go back into the old programming that you have been taught, which a lot of our teaching growing up in this day and age is more fear-based, okay? So we have all this unconscious stuff inside of us. It's all fear-based. And then one little thing triggers that little tiny memory, the whole thing happens, just like a panic attack. Just like a panic attack, but it happened internally inside of us, and all of a sudden we become so fearful of all this stuff because of our past experience. But what we're doing is we're reacting. We are not responding, which means we're not conscious. And the goal is to be able to walk around being conscious. And that's what meditation is really about. It's about being in the middle, being able to be centered. It's not about just lying down and taking a nice drift into, a different realm and relaxing really deeply. That is really good. But what it's really about is being able to be centered and walking in this world when the coronavirus is happening, and you responding, not with fear, but with love and compassion, and understanding what love and compassion is doing, not just for the world, but for you, because you are in control of all the cells inside of your body. And that is where all of your power comes from. That's where all of your power comes from.
And that's a really heavy responsibility there. If you're in control of all the cells in your body.
Yeah. Oh,
then think about that for a minute. Yeah.
And the thing is, like I said before, you're not a tree, you're not stuck. So I don't care what your body condition is now. It can improve. It can 100% improve. Now, I've dealt with so many different clients that have so many ailments that they have overcome with just the power of their mind. And there's case study after case study after case study. If you go on and do some research, things are changing. We are not physical particle beings. The Newtonian reality is falling away, and this new science that's coming in is really showing us that we're energy, and that the energy, just like the double slit experiment, when you're not looking, it's a wave of possibility. When consciousness or awareness appears to be perceiving something, that thing forms into reality. That thing forms into reality. Now, here is the greatest secret. This right here is worth its weight in gold for this whole entire conversation. The greatest secret in the universe is, ready for this? You become what you think about.
Well,
think about that.
I've heard that before, but we don't really think how powerful it is.
You think about, we don't. And why is that? Because we're not willing to do what needs to be done. We're not willing to pay with time our attention to our desires and our goals. So if you talk to someone today, it's interesting. People don't like negative things. I mean, it's just, majority of people don't like negative things, but the majority of the people talk about negative things.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what happens when you talk about negative things? You become what you think about. Think about that.
Yeah, and you know what else? You're missing out on life too. Just like, here's the thing. Like, say you want to zip line, right? And you're like, you get on the zip line and you see this other thing, like on the other side of the mountain, and you see the zip line go on the other side of the mountain, and you start thinking about all the bad things that are going to happen, everything, and then you get on the zip line, and then you're still thinking about it. You're thinking about if this thing is going to break or whatever. But the truth, what you should be doing is enjoying the ride and just getting the experience with that, staying in the moment. Because the rest of it don't matter. You're already on the zip line. You know what I mean?
It don't matter. we get so conditioned. It's in our conditioning, we get lazy. And we all do it. I mean, it's just, we get used to having this body, right? We live, we are in an internal, we are eternal. We
what do you mean by that, though? We can still condition.
The awareness. So the awareness of who you are is eternal. So who you are, no matter if you're sleeping, if you're dreaming, if you're dead, if you're alive, you're always aware. So if you're aware if you're in heaven, you're aware if you're in hell. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you're aware if you're in ET, it doesn't matter. You're aware. Okay, so that's who you truly are. You are awareness. You're a consciousness. Now we take on these bodies. Now, if you think about what this body is and how amazing this body is, it's incredible. If you think about the intricacies of all the nuances, and it's like how our nails grow, how our hair grows, how our intestines work, how our hearts work, how our lungs have 500 different functions and we can't name one of them, and yet they all work just perfectly fine. So we all have a human being, right? We aren't really truly aren't a human being. We have a human being that we're here to experience through. And this gives us the ability to have texture, to have contrast, to have experience, right? So, we get here and we have this thing and it's so amazing, but we live with it every day. It's kind of like, we get used to it. We're like, whatever. It's getting sick. It's like, I'm just going to give up.
Just going Little Debbie's and Dr. Peppers. You're done.
Yeah, I'm not going to work out. I know working out would probably help me, but I'm not going to do that because you know what? This is too hard. I'm not going to eat right because, it's just too hard. I like eating unhealthy. And you know what? That's fine because we're here for the experience. So we're here to experience life. We're here to experience death. We're here to experience sickness. We're here to experience health. Here's the key. It's your choice. You can choose at any moment to change your mind. And guess what happens? Your body's going to follow. If you start changing your mind saying, I want to get healthy, guess what your body's going to do? Oh, you want to get healthy? Let's get healthy together. And your body will get healthy. And I've seen it time and time again. Once you change your mind on what it is you desire and start focusing on that, the body will follow very easily.
You've been watching a lot of Bruce Lee movies, haven't you?
No, I've never seen a Bruce Lee movie, actually.
I'm just messing with you, bro. You sound like a modern day Bruce Lee right now, because that's the kind of stuff he would say,
Yeah.
And that's my point, though. What I'm talking about with the zipline thing is like what I've realized is you can look into the future and then you can't control what is not right in front of you anyways, Yeah. You can't. So like, it's kind of like we want instant gratification all the time, instant gratification. And then we get bored of it. And then we get worried and we have fear. Mm-hmm. And now we don't even enjoy the instant gratification that we're getting, that people would love to have this stuff hundreds of years ago, internet, phones, cell phones, stuff like that. They would drool over our life, but we're still worried about the future, trying to control it. And it's like, I know because I do it too. But if you just enjoy the ride, things will happen the way they're supposed to happen, I think.
I know. How many times have we all gone on vacation, right? And we're so excited to go on vacation. We're like, I can't wait. Let's plan the trips. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And it's so exciting to plan the trips, right? And then you get on vacation and you're on the trips and it's like one of the kids goes crazy or haywire, like, chill out, man. Come on. Things go a little stray, or you're on vacation. You're sitting on this beautiful, amazing beach in Mexico and you're on your phone. Like seriously? You've been waiting for this for so long and you're going to bring your phone and sit on your phone and be distracted? Like, no. Be in the moment. Really experience this experience that you've been waiting so long to experience. The thing is we're never happy in the moment. We're always looking for the next moment. So even when we go on the beach and we're sitting there on this amazing beach and they're bringing us drinks and they're bringing us food, it's like, all right, so what are we going to do tonight? What's going on tonight? All right, so we're going to go to this show here. We're going to do this. And then when you get to the show, it's kind of like, what are we going to do tomorrow? So we're always planning and looking forward. But yet we're never really present. Sometimes we got to just stop and just really be present. Just really be present in that moment and like just take it all in. And that's what it's all about. And that's what I was saying before about being centered and meditation is really about just being present and allowing the external world to flow without you trying to control it, because it's going to do what it's going to do. The only thing you can control is your internal world.
Yeah, that's true. Man, that is so true.
It is.
Like
it's 100% true. And that's how I'm controlling this coronavirus. So what are you doing? So I'm staying true to me. Like, I will deal with anything that comes in front of my face. I'm down with it. I will deal with it. But I am not going to give all my power of my time, which is the most valuable thing to me, because you're only here in this body for a certain amount of time. I'm not going to give my time away to something that may or may not happen. Like I was saying before, with all these 2001, 2002, all the way down the line, think about, did any of it touch you? Did any of that touch you? No. But were you afraid of it at one point? Did it come across your mind like, oh, wait, West Nile virus? I can't go to the park because of West Nile virus. Or bird flu. Oh, I can't do this because of bird flu. Oh, E. coli, bad economy, swine flu. All this stuff is, if you put your attention there, guess what you're going to do? Nothing. And you're going to take up all your time thinking about what you can't do, opposed to what you can do. It doesn't matter where you are. You can always do something. So focus on love, compassion, the things that you love, the things you're grateful for. Even in these times of trouble where this stuff is happening, for granted, it is definitely, things are happening outside, but it's not happening to you right now. So focus on what you can to make your life better. So that's what we'll do, since it's midnight my time. As we go into this break, just everybody try that, just for like 60 seconds. You know, that ought to be good enough. Because I don't know if we should focus on the coronavirus going away. I don't even want you thinking about the coronavirus. What should they think about, Jay, when I play this? What would you think about? Exactly what you just said? Yeah, so the best thing to really do is to think about what you're grateful for. Right? Really think what you're grateful for.
A Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on the Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney. your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a Void Walker.
G'day, Void Walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, but the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is Fee, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a Void Walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner Void Walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I'll guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new art gal. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, a.k.a. the Night Stalker, and I'm a Void Walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a Void Walker. Thanks, Joe Root.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal, there's a show called Into the Paranormal. I'm Jeremy Scott. Hear me live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern on the Fringe FM.
Hey, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange Radio, asking you to join us live Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Fringe FM. Visit beyondthestrange.com for links to chat, social media, and schedules of the show. And remember, always stay strange. Hasta.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
That's right. 1-800-588-0335 is the call-in number. If you want to ask our lovely, talented Mr. J. Layton. You are a lovely guy, man. I got to tell you, I got a little bit of a man crush on you. You know?
Thanks, brother.
Well,
Thanks.
I don't know. I'm just saying, you helped me. I've been through a lot. I was talking to Jeff Harmon about that the other night, and then I got to thinking about, man, when did this really start, and who was there? Who was there with me when I was going through this? And there were a couple of people, you know, but I remember when you were like, when I started it thing, I did the meditation with you. And so you have, I mean, you're really doing good things for people. You got a whole course you're giving away for free. Not a lot of people are doing that, man, honestly.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, yeah, my pleasure. I mean, I'm here. I mean, obviously, money, promissory notes are part of the reality today. But I'm really here in this time to really help people wake up to their full potential, and I'm going to do whatever I can. I mean, I do charity work for people who can't afford my services. I have a nonprofit organization called the Masters Octave that we do charity work through. My goal really is to help tip the scales within the collective consciousness so that we can get over this fear-based old paradigm reality. Because really, we are a family. The human being really is one collective consciousness. Now, if you think about us, right? We love to be with each other. We love to experience each other and share with each other. And when we get together, there is power in numbers. So if you think about the collective consciousness and humanity coming together as one mind and directing all that energy of the one mind towards achieving a goal, unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. What's happened now is we're all fragmented in our own egos, and we don't see each other as part of the same family. We see each other as separate, or you're part of this section, you're part of that, you're part of this, you're good, you're bad, not understanding the whole dynamics of what the species really is. And we're going to get back to that once we start ascending and understanding and recognizing our true power is the power of numbers. So I understand that, and my goal is really to help tip the scale within this collective consciousness so that we really start waking up pretty quickly now.
So what do you mean everything is the power of numbers? What's that mean?
Well, I mean, there's power in numbers. So
okay.
If I want to manifest something, right? We look at it today. If you want to create a business, right? You can do it by yourself, but if you have a team, it works much better. Anything that we do, when we do it collectively, we do it together, it's just so much more powerful, so much stronger. So it's all about coming together and creating together. Any movement that's ever happened, it wasn't a one-person movement, you know? It was a collective movement that made the changes. So it's all about coming together collectively and seeing each other as part of the same family and really moving together collectively. Man, we can do amazing, amazing things, and not for the dollar, not for the dollar. The universe doesn't work in terms of the dollar and promissory notes. This is it's a control mechanism, the money system. And it was put there on purpose to assist us with awakening, right? It brings us down to a point where we say, you know what, enough's enough. We have to start waking up because we know something is not right. We have to start waking up and really tapping into different kinds of energy opposed to the monetary system. And what makes the world go round? Each person working for each person, right? When you get up, you work for somebody, right? You're hosting a radio show. Why? To help people wake up. Everybody's working for somebody, and we're doing it for money in a sense. But once we get rid of the money idea, you ever seen the Venus Project?
Oh, no, what's that?
Jacques Fresco, he actually passed away a few years back, but he created this concept of the Venus Project of a non-monetary system. And it's pretty damn flawless. Like, it's really a fifth dimensional reality, a workable fifth dimensional reality that we could use today and implement. It's a very, very unique idea of how we can get rid of the monetary system. And it's kind of like everything that we have, instead of owning something, it's kind of like renting something, like going to the library. Like, you want a car, you don't need to own that car. You just go to the car and rental place, you pick it up and you go. And everybody has housing, everybody has schooling. It's an amazing, amazing system that he came up with. And then you have Michael Tillinger, who has the Ubuntu project, where he's creating little communities now where everybody in the community works for the community, and they put in 3 hours a week, and all of their energetic needs, food, energy, is all taken care of by the community. And everybody kind of takes turns working in different jobs. Like, one day you might be a baker, the next week you might be an electrician, and you kind of feel like what you want to do and how you contribute to the community. But your whole week isn't contributing to the community. It's only 3 hours a week. It's an incredible thing that they're doing, and they're going around and they're building this whole community of a non-monetary system. And that's just so exciting to really be able to really help somebody and then help you in exchange of love, not the exchange of false monetary. Because if you think about what a money is, it's a promise, right? So I'm going to give you $1, and that's a promise for goods and services in your future. Whereas previously, before the money system, I would come to your house and you might cook a meal for me, and I might do the dishes for you, and it would happen right then and there. You know, the exchange of energy would be there. But now it's happening. I come to your house and you cook me dinner, and I'll say, "Oh, here's some money. It's a promissory note that you can pay someone else to do the dishes, or you can, go buy something else later on in life." It's an interesting concept, but
yeah, but I like money's kind of like a tool to. It's just, to me, And, as much as ask for donations and stuff, it's really how you think about it. But it's more like in the actions of what is done. Like I don't know, to me, if there's good intention and thought behind it, it doesn't really matter how much it costs, even if it did cost something. I don't know. It's all about thoughtfulness, when you're doing, when you're trading things with people, especially people you love. Like, I may want to buy a big fancy punching bag for my son, which I did, right? And some punching mitts for him. But what he really wants is to train with me. He wants his dad to get involved. So I can literally walk outside and just hold up my hands and, work with him. And he would rather have that than the material things. But to have both would even be better, which he does. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we are social beings. We love to be with each other. We really do love each other. And at our hearts, we're all creative. Each one of us is a creator. We are the creators in creation. We are the aspects of God in creation that's experienced the experience. And we have the ability to create. And that's really inherent within us. And that's why you find so many people today so unhappy at their jobs. It's crazy how many people you talk to and they're just not happy at their jobs. Why? Because they feel stifled. They can't create. They have all these ideas and no one wants to listen. And they probably have really awesome ideas, but people are so, in their own world, the creative reality is kind of like pushed to the side. And it's kind of like live to this box, this square box, just like the schooling, I didn't fit in school at all growing up. Like my learning style was not school. I just could not pick it up. And that's where I got a lot of my anxiety from, because I was a very creative child, but I didn't fit in the box. So they put me in a room in the back of the school and said, oh, you go over here, you sit with these kids, which I was very grateful for. I got a lot of good friends out of that. But I couldn't conform to the box the way that they taught me. Honestly, I never read a book completely full all the way through in all 12 years of schooling. Not one. I made it through. Are you serious? Just getting by. Never read one.
You're freaking so smart, dude. Is it because you just didn't want to, or you had a problem reading, or what?
No. I didn't find it interesting.
Gotcha.
It just didn't work for me. I just didn't. I just shut down, and it created a lot of anxiety for me. So like I had when I was growing up, I had anxiety issues because getting up and reading in front of the class and doing all that stuff. And today I'm a public speaker. I'll get up on stage and speak my heart out, but I speak about what I love, and it's easy. Okay. So once I got out of school, I have read and listened to, because I like audiobooks now, because every time I'm driving, I always slap on an audiobook, so I love information, but I've read 500 books. Easy.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just like when I was in school, I couldn't fit into the box. I just didn't want to conform to that box. And that's how I see people today, is they don't want to conform to that box. But if we were able to release that and allow each individual to be creative in their own way and share their creativity, can you imagine what the world would be like? And that's what the Venus Project was about. It was about allowing kids to really find out what their heart's desire was, their creative purpose, and really push them towards that, like what they're really good at and what they really enjoy, and let them excel in that. Because maybe that child doesn't need to know calculus, because he'll never use calculus ever in being a painter, right? You're just not you're going to use math, but you're not going to use calculus. So, I mean, it's interesting, that whole concept of the Venus Project and how it's presented. It's really, really good.
Yeah. In our school systems, man, everybody kind of knows that kids need to learn their own way. I was that way in school too, man. I got in trouble a lot because I was bored, just bored to death, man.
Yeah, looking at the walls.
Right. It's 2 years ahead in math, 1 year ahead in science, and they didn't start. The thing is, though, see, they have systems in play, like gifted and talented or whatever. That's the stuff they put me in. But I still got bored. Like I didn't want to do group work with people. I liked it, like when we did the plays and stuff like that. When it came to art. But when I was when we did our own things, like solving our own problems and stuff, I wanted to do that stuff on my own. So it's always causing problems. And school bored me to death, and it bores a lot of kids to death, man. You know how many, like my son's going through it now. when they get into high school, they're just so sick of the monotony of everything. And they have to push. You remember that feeling in high school where you got to push yourself just to finish school, right? Like, it sucks.
Here's the problem, though. It doesn't stop there. Like, I have friends who have graduated with masters, and they're pulling their hair out. They're not happy. I mean, they're making money, but money isn't happiness. Money isn't creativity. They're in a job where they're in a box, just like they were in a box at school. And it's kind of like we're kind of like stuck in this trap where we can't express ourselves. So that's why people don't love their jobs, because they don't have this freedom of expression that, because we're creative beings, that's inside of us. Yeah. But we can change that. We can change that 100%. It's not hard. It's just changing your mindset and putting the time in and focusing on what you want. Stop focusing on what you don't want, right? Don't even use the words, I don't want to do this. So we say, what do you want for dinner? Well, I don't want pizza.
Yeah, well, why would you think about that?
Why would you even say that? Like, and we do it all the time. Like, we'll always say what we don't want first and then talk about what we want. And then the things like, if you're having a good day, like, hey, how you feeling? Oh, great day. Great day. Okay, good. How you feeling? Oh, bad day. I stubbed my toe, and then I went to the refrigerator. Refrigerator's broken. All the food's bad. And then you know what happened? I got my car, out of gas, got to work late. Boss is yelling at me. The whole day goes to shit, right? So then they want to talk the whole entire day going to shit. And that when somebody's feeling really good, they're like,
Jay, you can't say shit. You know?
Oh, I bet.
I didn't turn the dump button on, so
no, that was good. Thanks for the reminder.
But no, go ahead. I like what you're saying, though. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, so the key is for us to take back our power, and our power is our mind, our concentration, our intentions. What are you intending? What is your goals for this year? What are your goals? Like, so do you have any goals for the next month, the next year? Are they written down? If your goals aren't written down, guess what's going to happen? You're going to forget them in about 2 to 3 weeks, because our minds forget very quickly. They just start erasing because we want to create new experiences. This is why it's so important to write down exactly what it is you want. Now, we know this, right? We all read Think and Grow Rich. We've seen Napoleon Hill, the books and how to do it and what works, what doesn't work. And I mean, this information is not new. And yet, who's doing it, right? It's a very small portion of the population. If you want to get healed, if you're having an illness, if something is disformed, right? What happens is we wake up every day thinking about the illness, which only perpetuates the illness more and more and more. And that sorriness and that feeling bad for yourself only keeps you in that state. The idea is to project an idea of creation, getting to your imagination and seeing yourself as healed. Now, this is the key, the imagination, because we have the ability to imagine whatever we want. It's limitless. So when you talk about parallel timelines and alternate universes, there is some truth to that. Because when you think about something, right, you're going to have 80,000 thoughts a day. Most of the thoughts that we have today are the same thoughts that we had yesterday, because we're always regurgitating ourselves. But if you think about how many thoughts we have and how many new thoughts we have, where do these new thoughts come from? Right? So when you have a new thought and you start putting your attention, your intention into that new thought, before you know it, it starts to become your reality, because that's the power of imagination. So just because you're sick today doesn't mean you can't start to use your imagination to get yourself out of it. Because once you start saying, I want to get better, before you know it, things and avenues and roads are going to start opening up for you that weren't there before. You know, someone might come over and say, hey, I have a gym membership that, I'm not using, or I have this that I'm not using that you could use, or things just happen. It happens all the time. Like my mother, she lives in North Carolina, and we were having a spiritual expo, and she really wanted to come, and it was in the winter, and that's her downtime, so the funds weren't really there, and it was going to cost $300 to get here. And I'm like, all right, Mom, we'll figure it out. So we both were doing our meditations, and the next day my boss calls me, and he's like, "Hey Jay, I have a proposition for you." I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "I want you to take one of our trucks and drive out to Ohio." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I'll pay you $300 cash." I'm like, "In, done. There it is. Universe opened up, $300. It's exactly what she needed. Boom, she came. She was able to enjoy it." And that happens all the time to all of us. Things just kind of happen out of nowhere. You might meet somebody and this person might be like, "Oh, I got to introduce you to my friend." And all of a sudden, that's the girl of your dreams, or that's your new girlfriend or boyfriend. Or it's interesting how all these things kind of play into effect, and it's all based on your vibrational frequency. When you become a match vibration to the experience, you draw that experience to you.
Yeah. And it works the other way around too, if you're not careful. So why do it, right? Like, why think about it? Actually, and it's good to have people around you too that, I get it. I get it why people get in that state and they want to stay in that state and stuff. I really do. But it's also good to have people around you to be like, hey, that are spiritually smart enough, psychologically sound enough to say, hey, snap out of it. Not because you're stupid or whatever. They don't want you doing, because you're hurting yourself. And those are real friends. Those are real people you should keep in your life, I think,
100%. And listen, if you don't have anybody out there, sign up with me. Come take some of my sessions, and I will help you 100%. Don't care what your situation is. You can change it. You have this ability. Once you tap into the power of your mind, your subconscious mind, the power of the stars, you start using all this information, all this data, your life will change 100%. Seen it time and time again. So if you don't have somebody, you're not stuck, right? Just pay a small fee and I can help you. The reason why I can't give all my time for free and I have to charge a fee is because I live in this world too. We have to pay bills, right? I wish I can just wake up and do 10 sessions a day for free and just change people's lives left and right, left and right, left and right. But that would mean that I would need quite a bit of donations to come in to allow me to do that. So I do charge a small fee for my sessions, which are $197. And think about this. What are you willing to pay for what you want? Right. If $197 is too much for you, then all right.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Like, seriously. No, come on. Let's change our minds about this right now.
Yeah.
First and foremost. Like, I'm broker than anybody at this moment right now. But I know deep down, I've had tons of money before. I've had no money. I've been both. Done a lot on my own, actually. I've experienced a lot of good and a lot of bad. But the thing is it's all about how you think about it, right? That's it. It's all about how you think about it. If you want to exchange money with somebody, and this is for everybody, and you don't think you can. Some of you guys are so freaking talented, by the way. You just don't. You share it with us in the chat rooms and stuff, but you just don't know how valuable that could be to somebody else. Yeah. And you have the internet at your hands. Do you know what salesmen would do back in the day when there was just telephones? Do you know what they would do for a tool like this? Because in their mind, it was all numbers, right? I talk to enough people, I provide enough value, and then I create a good life for me and my family. That's what they thought. If they would have had the internet, like, wait, what are you telling me? I can talk to millions of people? There would be no thoughts of lack. See, and that's what gets me is we got all these tools now that we can learn how to use and be super creative, and yet we get addicted to just staring at them instead of utilizing them, to change our life.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that happens so often. We just, can't we get something? We get it. And we're like, okay, I'm kind of bored with that. But when it really comes down to you manifesting your dreams, it's not that hard. It really is not that hard.
It doesn't have to be hard.
It's just, it's not hard at all. Doesn't matter what it is. If you want to be healed, if you want to manifest a person in your life, if you want to manifest more money, if you want to anything in your life, You just have to become a match vibrational frequency to that thing. And that's what I like to call myself, really a matchmaker, right? So I'm not a matchmaker in the sense of I can just bring you your love of your life, your soul dream, your soul mate.
I don't know, man. You might be. I'll let you know one day.
That's a piece of it, right? But what I really am is a matchmaker in the sense of I turn the magnets on that are within your third eye, called the pineal gland, and the heart magnet to draw the experience that you desire. So what I do is we have a session. You tell me everything that it is that you desire, and then I program your subconscious mind, which turns on that magnet to draw that experience into your life. It doesn't matter what it is, a healing, a person, a thing, doesn't matter, because you are drawing an experience to you. So once you put it into the subconscious mind, you draw it to you. You become a magnet to that experience, which then allows you to experience whatever it is you're looking to experience. It's not rocket science. It's very, very easy. The thing is are you willing to put in the time to get the desired outcome?
Man, yeah, it is. You know what I want to do? Can you, when we come back from this break, can you tell us some stories about how you started really learning this in your life? Like, share some stuff with us about you, brother. Jay Layton is with us. JayLayton.com. Also, the other websites, too. What are the other websites, Jay, real quick, before this bumper goes out?
mastersoctave.org and thesoulsdream.com.
Right on. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Rev Dan Lopez from Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Panic is hitting our country through fear of catching a cruddy virus. Face masks, antibacterial soap, water, toilet paper being purchased in mass quantities. If you want your immunity up, I call it our shields, you need Allison Advanced. One pill is equal to 35 cloves of garlic, and you won't smell like garlic, and it won't leave you with bad breath. So 35 cloves of garlic in one pill? Yes! Shields up. And when your shields are up, you're safe. Enjoy the confidence of not having fear of a cruddy virus. So here's how to order. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Front page, scroll down. It'll say Big Al and Super Tea for savings. Or click on the immune and find Allison Advanced. Our tea does a wonderful job too, just to let you know. And for added benefits, take your blood pressure reads and watch Allison Advanced love on your blood pressure. Shields up. Getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi, this is David Oman with HouseAtTheEndOfTheDrive.com. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of the Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
This is Alex Exum of the Exum Experience in Live Talk, where we discuss current events, society, and culture. My shows are based in actuality, actual existence, contrasted with what was intended, expected, or believed. You can listen to me live Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. only on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
This is Reverend John M. Polk, and you are listening to KTLK Digital Broadcasting right here on the Fringe.fm.
Our Jay Layton is our guest tonight. And like I said, the show comes on every night. I don't know why I'm thinking that, because you were just asking me that, Jay. Monday night through Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight. And Jay, something you were saying before we get into any like storytelling and stuff, something you were saying before about the cells in your body. What do you know about that? Like, I don't think people are totally convinced, right, about that. Like, okay, you're going to think about something, visualize something, it's going to change the cells in your body. Like, come on, man, really? That's woo-woo to a lot of people. You know it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just education. So a lot of this information came through epigenetics, through Bruce Lipton and his work. He is phenomenal. So I would definitely highly recommend looking into Bruce Lipton if you really want to dive into cell biology. But we started off talking about the coronavirus, right? And then in 2001 down to 2020, all the different things that have come across, all these fear expressions that are being presented to us. So these different diseases and collapses and all this stuff. So let's look at that from a cell point of view of what's actually happening. So when I'm talking about before, about everything is centered, it's all about you being of control of your inner environment, right? So the human being is made up of 50 trillion cells. And if you look at each cell is its own living entity, right? It has a respiratory, digestion, excretory, a nervous system, an immune system. Think about that. Each cell has its own individualized awareness, okay? So the brain of the cell is on the membrane. Where we used to think the nucleus was the brain, well, they pulled the nucleus out and the cell still functioned properly. So they figured out that the brain is actually the membrane. So the membrane has all these little switches that decode the environment. So it receives a signal from the environment, then sends a signal into the cell to change to a protein or change the behavior to become whatever that cell needs to become inside of the body. And there are over 100,000 switches on the membrane of a cell. So each cell has 100,000 switches on it, right? So the question is what is the main factor that controls the cell? It's the environment. So the environment is what's controlling the cell, right? So when you look at epigenetics, it's the study of change in organisms caused by the modification of gene expression rather than the alteration of the gene code itself. So when the genome came out, they trying to figure out, the cells and everything. They're like, wait a second, there's something, the math's not adding up here. And they figured out that the genome was wrong. and that the cell is getting its information and changing into what it needs to change into based on the environment. So there are all these antennas, these self-receptors on the cell that it's receiving information from the environment that controls the genetic expression of the cell itself. So the governing factor within the human that controls the environment of the cells is the mind. The mind is the government that controls the environment. You got to think about it. The cells are inside of us. They don't see the external world, right? They only see what's coming into it through our five senses, right? So it's through our five senses that we activate different parts of the cell to express itself in different ways, right? So through our eyes, for instance, when we see something, we perceive a danger, like say back in the day, a tiger coming at us. What happens is the amygdala reacts to the threat coming to us, activating the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus activates the pituitary gland, which is the master gland, sending a signal to all 50 trillion cells saying, we got to do something, activating the adrenals. And then the cortex, the adrenal cortex, releases stress hormones and cortisol, and all this energy inside of us then goes, wait a second, we have to run, we have to get out of here.
Right.
Creating fight or flight. So we move into fight or flight, right? So all this is happening because we perceived a danger with our eyes, right? So our eyes then activated all these cells to do what they have to do to get us out of the situation, okay? So, but the cells, they can't see the world around us. They can only see it through our interpretation, through our senses. So what happens is, once we have a perceived danger outside of us, we activate fight or flight. And it's really important to understand. When we activate fight or flight, what happens is, number one, it suppresses our immune system, right? So it takes all the blood and moves it out of the viscera, which is our chest, into our arms and legs and into our lungs so we can get out of there, right? To get out of danger. And then it moves the blood from the front of our head to the back of our head. So we're not critically thinking. We're not saying, oh, well, should I run or should I not run? I probably do that. You don't want to critically think in a time of danger. You just got to do what you got to do.
Body switches are switching, like it's morphing into survival mode, right? All right.
Exactly. So it moves the blood from the front of the head, which means critical thinking is now turned off. You can't critically think. And that you experience that with a panic attack. There's just absolutely no critical thinking in a panic attack. All the blood is 100% moved to the back of the brain. And then, so what's happening here is, back in the day, this was fantastic, right? Fight or flight. When you see a danger, all this amazing things would happen inside of us. The cells would go, whoop, they turn in to do what they have to do, get in the signal from the environment, which is our perception. And then it would allow our bodies to get into Superman mode and get out of the situation. But what's happening is it suppresses the immune system, which is very important to understand. Because when you watch the news and you get fearful, guess what you're doing? You're putting your cells into fight or flight. Remember, your cells don't know the difference between real or not real, good or bad. They know the signals that are coming in from the amygdala, from the hypothalamus, from the pituitary gland, that are activating these hormones inside of us, that they're creating this adrenaline rush. And what's happening? We're just perceiving a danger that's on the screen. Nothing is happening around us, but our cells are going into a state of protection. So the cells can either be in a state of growth or protection. They can't be in both at the same time. It's either growth or protection. So when we suppress our immune system, what happens is the cells go into a state of protection, which means they can't rejuvenate, they can't regenerate, and they cannot heal. So if we're always bombarding ourselves with stimuli from the outside world that's giving us fear, we're always putting ourselves into fight or flight. What happens? The body then suffers because our cells are no longer able to regenerate themselves, creating sickness throughout our whole entire body. And the sickness that's happening is there's really no danger outside other than the sickness of our minds because of what we're projecting internally inside of us. Because remember, the cells get their signal from the environment. They get their environment from the mind. The mind is the government. So what we're putting in, we are then changing our physical biology. 100% changing our biology. So when we look at love, right? Love creates health, rejuvenation, regeneration, and growth.
It's healing,
now, we're talking about, we all know that. We all feel good and we feel warm, feel fuzzy. When we talk about fear, we talk about stress, sickness, disease, and protection. Death is happening to our cells when we move into a state of fear. So now when you look at, like we were talking about earlier, from Y2K all the way down to the new coronavirus, if you look at the coronavirus, I mean, it's definitely something to pay attention to, but it's on every single channel, blasting all this stuff, and really over 50% of people have already recovered. I mean, it's a pretty big recovery, you know, and but it's being broadcasted as this is the end. And even though you are not in a location where the coronavirus is, your cells are going into the state of protection, shutting down your ability to heal, which is shutting down your immune system, which means if the coronavirus does come into a location where you're at, guess what? You are super susceptible to getting the virus now because all your gene expressions are shut down. Completely shut down. They're in protection, which means they're not regenerating, they're not rejuvenating, and they're not healing. So when a virus comes in, guess what's going to happen? Boom. You're going to have it, and you're going to have it very strongly. Whereas if you were to stay in a state of growth, health, your immune system is very strong. When the coronavirus comes, you might get it, but it's not going to be nowhere near as bad as if you're in a state of protection. And the fact of the matter is you're going to get it, you're going to get it. So would you rather be in a state of where your immune system is heightened or in a state where your immune system is extremely compromised? And it's extremely compromised not by anything other than your own thinking, your own fear that you're projecting internally to create this gene expression to move into protection. Nothing is happening externally around us. In 2012, the end of times, the Mayan calendar, nothing happened. Nothing was happening. But it was all this propaganda that people were legitly scared of the end of times. People were buying bunkers, filling their bunkers up. They had TV shows of, forget what they called it. It was like bunker wars or something like that. They'd go to their bunkers and see what they had. What do you think's happening internally inside of their body? They're opening themselves up to stress, sickness, disease, and protection.
Yeah.
And it's all happening in the mind.
Let me tell you something trippy that happened to me last night, man. You work with dreams at all? A little bit? You pay attention to them?
My wife does. She's amazing.
You and your wife really click, by the way. I've heard the stories you tell me, man. I'm jealous of that. That's really cool. You know?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So I go into my dad's house and I end up just crashing on his bed because it was late. Like he went to work. I went and talked to him. So I got this feeling like something's wrong with him. You know how you get intuitive feelings and something's wrong about somebody you care about? They don't really have to say it. You just know, you know. And I laid down in the bed, man, and I'm like, I don't even know. I was so tired. I crashed out there. And then I have this dream that I wake up and I stand up and I'm trying to turn on the fan lights, like the chandelier lights and stuff. And I can't turn them on. And this was just like last night. And I'm like, oh man, you know, why can't I turn them on? So I lay back down and there's these wolves that are around the house howling, like they're getting closer and closer and howling. And my cat gets up and its back's all like, you know, arched up looking around. And I'm like, oh, damn, you know, this is a dream. All right. So I got to wake up. So I wake up, go back to sleep and do it again. It's not a false awakening. It's just every time I fall asleep, this keeps happening. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. So I go back. I can't do this. It's too trippy, man. So I leave and I go out and I go into the shack and crash. But something was really bothering me. Like, why is that happening? Why the howling wolves? Why does it happen? And to me, that's a sign that I need to pay attention to. Like, there's energy there. That's where my dad sleeps, you know? And right. So I'm learning to listen to this more. And so that's where he accesses the astral realm. You see what I'm saying? That's where he accesses the moon power, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And so I talked to him today. I said, what's on your mind? And he's like, nothing, nothing. And I'm like, no, man, and I don't really have these talks with my dad. But today was like a breakthrough, and I was like, no, something's wrong. Tell me. And he starts telling me all this dreadful stuff that's happening at work, all this stuff, like just big time stuff that I can't really talk about. And it was like a confirmation that we aren't listening to our bodies, what our minds are telling us. And I mean, the more you talk about this, the more I realize that all of this stuff is just energy and it's working on different levels. And we just got to pay more attention to these things,
Yeah. If we want to have a life where we're excited to wake up and we're happy, you have to pay attention to the environment. It's just like I was saying about the cells in the environment, right? Life consciousness, it's a fractal. So for those who don't know what a fractal is a self-similar pattern across all space and time. So it's a self-similar pattern, okay? So consciousness is a self-similar pattern. It's a fractal. And when you look at consciousness, this is how we're all one. When people say we're all one through awareness, through consciousness. So when we look at the macro and the micro, they're identical. So we talk about a cell, okay? And the cell gets its information from the environment. And when it gets its information, it changes the protein, which changes its genetic expression, and it does what it has to do to become whatever it has to become to express itself. Now, if you look at the human being is very similar to a cell. The only difference is the cell gives up its identity to serve the whole. When the human being is in its whole state, in the golden age, it gives its identity to serve the whole, okay? Now, if you look at a human being, does a human have receptors on its skin? An antenna? So the cell has 100,000 antennae on its membrane, which is its skin. Human beings have 4+ million hairs. Hairs are antennae decoding the environment. Now, we can't see outside of the visible light spectrum, which is a fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. I mean, it's so small. I mean, we're practically blind, right? I mean, when you look at the visible light spectrum. But there's so much more energy that we can't see with our physical eyes, just like, cell phones, microwaves, and all that good stuff. But these hairs that are on our skin are able to detect the vibrational frequencies from our environment. So what is it that controls the collective environment of the humans, the collective consciousness? It's the stars. Just like we were talking about earlier, the closer planets, Mars, Mercury, they are an individual planet per se, whereas they affect us individually. Whereas Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, those are more generational or collective consciousness expression in planets, where they do affect us on our personal chart, but it's more of a collective experience. So when these planets align in certain positions, you have revolutions in the world, you have wars in the world, right? So you have all these things happening, and it's like clockwork. So what it is these stars are holding information and they're projecting it at certain times, giving us the ability to grow or to decline in a sense. So I want to segue into the next part about the ages, okay? Because I think this is really, really important to understand how the stars are feeding the collective consciousness of humanity. And it's kind of giving us the experience that we're here to do. So before we came into embodiment, into this great year, you ever heard of the great year? Or the precession of the equinox?
Yeah, right. Yes.
So the precession of the equinox is the rotation of the constellations, and it takes 25 plus years, 25 plus thousand years for this rotation. That it's called the Great Year. Some people call it the yugas. Some people call it the ages.
Right.
All right. So you have the Golden Age or the Satya Yuga, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. And then it goes back into the Iron Age, back into the Bronze Age, back into the Silver, and back into the Gold. So the Gold Age is actually the longest age, right? It's like, I think it's like 8,000 and change. And then you have the Iron Age, which is a very short period of time. But the reason why they called it, they named it with metals, was it was based on density, but it's density of consciousness. So when we look at the Golden Age, we are very enlightened. If you can see that the lives were much longer. And then when you look at the Iron Age, lives are very short. So what happens is we come in, we're a very, very, very high level being. And we come in for the experience to gain mastery of vibration. This universe is one verse of the multiverse, and it's based on vibration. Vibration is oscillation, right? So it oscillates, right? And then we measure the oscillation with frequency. How many times it oscillates is the frequency number that we give it. So it's all about polarity: good, bad, up, down, right, wrong, female, male. All polarity is vibration. So we come into ourselves with a very high consciousness, and then we descend down. So when we come into the Golden Age, we come in as a collective, as a oneness, as a group where we're very together. And then as we descend down throughout these ages, we lose our connection to source. So I remember growing up, and I never was really a Bible goer, but I mean, I have read some of it, but they would say, "Oh, you're born into sin." And I'm like, that's like, I don't get that. How are we born into sin?
How dare you talk about my parents like that? That's what I'd say.
I didn't get it. So, but now I understand completely what it means. Yeah, but what sin is when you look at the definition, is miss the mark. So we are born into sin because when we come in, we move right into the descension process where we start descending down in consciousness all the way down through these ages, forgetting who we are, forgetting our purpose. And then we get into the Iron Age and we have completely forgotten who we are. We're just coming out of the Iron Age. We're just coming out, like, wasn't that long ago. So what, 1500s we were in the Iron Age?
Right.
And when you look at what was going on, I mean, our past has been basically all the civilizations that have crumbled, right? So you had Atlantis, which was 10,000 years ago. Well, obviously it hasn't been proven, Atlantis, but when you really look into it, Atlantis was 10,000 years ago. And Atlantis, the reason why Atlantis fell was because it was the height of the Golden Age, of the previous Golden Age, and it had to fall for the new souls that are coming in to be able to descend in consciousness. So when Atlantis fell, it was the Great Flood. So when the Great Flood happened, what it was doing was it was wiping out the old cycle of the souls who came into this expressional schoolroom of 26,000 years. It was wiping out all that information so that the new souls can come in, completely forget who they are, and have their own experience. So that's why the Great Flood came. It wiped out all the information. So if you look at 10,000 BC, when Atlantis was, it wasn't until 4,500 BC that we had the Sumerian age come in, right? So we're talking like 5,500 years of, well, there's no civilization. Because we look at the history books, so the Sumerians were the first civilization, right, to come in. But it was from Atlantis, the flood happened, and then we started to descend in consciousness, and then the first civilization that comes out after Atlantis is the Sumerians, which is 4,500 BC. The next one was the Mesopotamians that came out of 35 BC. And what's interesting is all these civilizations have come and fallen. Why? Because we were in the descension process. So the Mesopotamians came in the Silver Age. They were here for all of the Bronze Age, and they fell in the Iron Age. Then the next one was the Egyptians, which is interesting. The Egyptians, they were here a blip. So 31,000 BC to 2686 BC. So it's a very small portion, but it was in the Bronze Age that they were here. And then you have the Mayans, which were one of the biggest civilizations that came in 26,000 BC to 900 AD in the dead center of the Iron Age. And the Babylonians, and then the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire came in directly when we moved into the Iron Age. And then they fell. So there's 2 Iron Ages, right? There's a descension Iron Age because it's a wheel. It's a big circle. There's 1,100 years of the descension part, and then there's the ascension part in the Iron Age where people start to wake up. They came in right in the beginning of the descension, and they left directly when we started to make the tipping of the scales of starting the ascension process. So, and then we have these avatars that came in, right? So we have Krishna, who came in at 3022 7 BC. What's happening here is the reason why we have these avatars coming in. It's these beings are coming in to say, "Hey, I am you, you are me, we are one. You have forgotten who you are. I'm just here to remind you."
That's right.
You still have time to go, but I'm here to remind you that we are one. What I have done, you can do more, right? So all these avatars that come in. Then you had the Horus coming in. Then you had Moses. Then you had Siddhartha Buddha. Then you had Jesus. All of these avatars that came in were coming in to remind us, as we were in the descension process, to remind us of who we truly are, of who we truly are and our capabilities. So Jesus was the last one to come in. The next one to come in is going to be each and every one of us. Each and every one of us are going to start waking up because we are moving into the ascension process. And how do I know we're moving into the ascension process? It's very easy to see. If you were to think of a life before, let's go 1600, and you were to take a human being from today and put them into the life of someone in the 1600s, you'd lose your mind. You'd be bored out of your wazoo. You're basically stuck in this little town. You might be able to go outside of the town a little bit, but travel was very limited, right? So basically, you're in. I got
to stop you there, Jay. But that's what we're going to pick up on. Yeah. So everybody keep that in mind. If you were, in the 1600s. Because if I don't say it, I'll forget it by the time break comes back around. That's the way my mind works. But that's where we're going to be right when we come back with Jay Layton. Stay with us.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Listen, I want to tell you about G.I. Joy from GetTheT.com. It's the best alchemical concoction of goodies for your stomach and digestive system I can recommend, and that's all based on my experience. Packed with colostrum, acidophilus, aloe, peppermint, and turmeric. If you do your own research, then you know this is the bee's knees for the stomach and digestion. Now, due to Big Brother's ears and the eye in the sky, I can't go into the details about what it helped me with. All I can say is I got relief. It's non-GMO, no fillers, no preservatives, manufactured right here in the US of A, and delivered to you by the only people who stay on top of the game and are out in front. Go grab a bottle of G.I. Joy at GetTheT.com and see what all the fuss is about. Again, that's GetTheT.com.
AncientLifeOil.com. For your CBD needs, just remember, AncientLifeOil.com. What does it do for the body, you ask? I can't say to the people in the suits that run the industry. Big Pharma's all over CBD because of its well, you know what I mean. Research the benefits of CBD on Google and come back to AncientLifeOil.com and purchase your CBD today. Non-GMO and all organic. You don't want to be using a petroleum product. You want to be using the cleanest CBD product on the market. AncientLifeOil.com. We even have CBD for your pet. Help your pet's discomfort. Help your discomfort. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Newly reduced prices to pass off the savings to the most important person, you. AncientLifeOil.com. And one more thing, we have topicals too. So if you have joint pain and some different issues that are going on in your body, you might want to use a topical. Think about it. AncientLifeOil.com.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fringe FM. See you then.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a void walker.
Hey, Joe Root. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a void walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a void walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
You can tug all day long on a carpet that's been glued to the floor. Then you hurt. There are many strong glues out there. Let's see, there's liquid nails and Gorilla Glue. You ever try to remove 3M 5200? That adhesive is strong. Then there's bathroom caulk, silicone rubber, adhesive tape, super glue, flex tape, and stickers. Graffiti. Scientists have come up with glues that stay stuck and can't be removed. Until now. Until Handyman Formula by DeBond. That's right. 95% of adhesives become unstuck when you spray Handyman Formula directly on them. Just spray, wait a few minutes, and remove. It's amazing. Most adhesives become unstuck when you use Handyman Formula. Visit DeBondCorporation.com or MCMaster.com. Call 561-575-4200. This stuff really works. Handyman Formula by DeBond, a great Christmas gift.
Ever seen an extraterrestrial? It can be hard to believe they exist unless you've seen one for yourself. What if I told you I've seen them my whole life, but have never had a witness who shared the encounter with me? Now, what if I told you I saw 4 of them, 2 with blue skin, and there are over 20 witnesses to this CE5 event? My new book, The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, documents actual accounts from real witnesses, many of which have gone on record to attest to this otherworldly reality. Be a part of the quantum paradigm shift that is taking place right now. Go to johnpolkmedia.com to get your copy of The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, on sale right now at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com.
Abnormal News, I'm Brad Bernards. University of British Columbia astronomy student Michelle Kunimoto has discovered 17 new planets, including a potentially habitable Earth-sized world, by combing through data gathered by NASA's Kepler mission, as reported in phys.org.
Compared to the most recent Kepler pipeline, I was able to find almost 100% of their confirmed planets. I missed 2 of them. And out of their candidate planets, ones that haven't been confirmed yet, I was able to find 91% of them. So I feel pretty confident that my pipeline is working. And then on top of all these rediscoveries, I also have actually over 100 new planet candidates that I've not announced yet, but are in the works.
Over its original 4-year mission, the Kepler satellite looked for planets, especially those that lie in the habitable zones of their stars, where liquid water could exist on a rocky planet's surface. A boring, unremarkable star, 26 light years away, has turned out to be not so boring after all. Astronomers have found that it has a planet, one with a mass only about 5 times Earth's mass, using a wild new method inspired by Jupiter's auroras, according to ScienceAlert.com.
Stars emit all kinds of electromagnetic waves, but these low frequencies have not been closely studied before. After crossing off many possibilities, the researchers found that there was only one explanation. The signal was being produced by an interaction between the red dwarf star and a planet.
Radio wave activity from the star has been linked to an interaction between the star's magnetic field and an orbiting planet, much like Jupiter's magnetic field is known to interact with the planet's moon, Io. It's a method that could help us find way more of the hard-to-find rocky exoplanets like Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Connect with the news at parabnormalradio.com. I'm Brad Bernards, Parabnormal News.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada. You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're live on the Fringe FM. Don't forget that we are going to be at the Ozark UFO Conference, April the 10th through the 12th. We have plans to go there. We have a vendor table downstairs. There's going to be some cool folks there, speakers like David Pilatus, Whitley Strieber. There's going to be a speaker's dinner. I think George Norrie's going to show up somehow. I don't know if it's in person or what, but they're saying he's going to be there. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So if you're around, come hang out with us. Also, if you love the show and you get anything of value from it, please donate. Go to lightingthevoid.com, hit the donate button. Thank you guys that have donated. Love you all. All right, so I interrupted your story, and we had the long top of the hour news thing, so I want to make sure that we pick up. So you were imagining Jay Layton, who's with us, our guest tonight. You were talking about, imagine if we went back to the 1600s, we'd be bored to death, right? Now,
yeah, so what we're talking about is the ascension process, right?
Gotcha,
and
right.
to show how we're ascending.
Through the ages, through what are they called?
So how to understand and know that we're ascending today and how the ascension process works. So what I was talking about is all the civilizations coming in and falling, the avatars coming in to remind us, because we all come from the golden age, right? We're not going to something. We're going back to where we came from. So essentially, we come from God. We are God. We're going back to wholeness.
Right.
So it's not like we're working our way to become something. We already are something. We have forgotten. Now it's the time to remember. We're remembering who we are as we start to awaken. And that's the ascension process. But if you look at ascension, right, and you look about information and data, right, if you were to think about what ascension would be, it would be about raising the vibrational frequency, right? That's what you think about. People talk about, we're going to raise the vibrational frequency. But when we raise the vibrational frequency, we're raising the information, the data that the individual is able to contain. So if you put yourself back into the 1600, coming from 2020, most people would go out of their mind, right? They'd be so bored. And because you're so limited to what you can do, you're very limited to a very small location on the planet, right? You can't really go too far. But if you were to take someone from the 1600 and put them into our time, into the 2020, they would be overwhelmed. Like, imagine putting an iPhone or Android in their hand. They would be like, whoa, I need a minute to process it. It would just be so much data, so much information for them to process. If they were even to see a video game today, they would think it was 100% real, right? They'd be like, it would blow their mind, the information that's being processed by the humans today, opposed to the humans of the 1600s. So my boy Elijah, for instance, he can play a video game that's running at 160 hertz and watch YouTube at the same time and be conscious of both of them, and be doing a great job in the video game and still retaining the information inside of YouTube. Now, that is a lot of information. Now, we're talking about raising the vibrational frequency. You're talking about data and intaking of data. We are so much more advanced in information, showing that we're raising in vibrational frequency opposed to where we were in the 1600s. So it wasn't until 1760 to 1840 that we had the Industrial Revolution. Now that really changed everything for us, right? Like, we went from like horse and buggy to kind of really starting to move into the ideas of cars with Nikola Tesla coming in at between I think it was like 1856, I think he was born. And then he created alternating current, light, how to harness and distribute energy, X-ray radio, remote controls, electric motors, robotics, lasers, wireless communication. Not just wireless communication like we have it today, but wireless electricity communication. And he demonstrated this at the state fair. And J.P. Morgan was his backer. And J.P. Morgan's like, well, how are we going to charge for this? And he's like, well, you really can't charge for it the way that you want to because it's free. And all that information was lost. So free, limitless energy, no wires, no telephone poles, all that stuff was completely created in the early 1900s. Huh. So this revolutionize our whole entire reality. Think about, he was basically like the godfather of our world today, of all the electronics that we have, right? He was like the one who kind of brought it all in, and yet nobody really knew who he was. I mean, in school, I didn't hear about him. And we're starting to kind of hear about him now and all his amazing inventions and all the stuff that he did. It's just incredible. I think he has like over 300 patents worldwide of things that we're still using today. It's like, it's amazing what he created. But he came in at the beginning of the Bronze Age, because the information is starting to change, where we're able to receive that information. We're able to use that data. So what's happening is the positioning of the stars and these constellations are what holds the collective consciousness in a specific vibrational frequency, where they're either raising in consciousness or declining, descending in consciousness. And now we're in a position where the light and sound being projected by these stars are moving into the age of Aquarius. What's Aquarius? The rebel. Aquarius is about technology. So we see all this technology coming in. People are going to get implants of chips in their head and all this stuff. I mean, it's going to be a fad. Of course, people are definitely going to do it. I wouldn't suggest doing it, but people are going to do it because we're in the age of technology. It's all about technology. Our cars are technology. Our homes are technology. Our phones are technology. People walk around with their phones glued to their face. They're living inside technology. Why? Because we're in the age of technology. So what's happening is we had the computer come in and the Ethernet. And the Ethernet, like I was talking about earlier, ether is spirit. So Ethernet is the connector that's connecting us back to the golden age, connecting us back to the information age, where we're understanding how to receive a lot of information extremely quickly, right? Now we're going to move from using a mechanism called a computer to back to our natural state of being telepathic, where we can communicate with all of our collective brothers and sisters through telepathy, and we can receive the same amount of information. So when you look at telepathy and you read the text about how it was used in the golden age, and you talk about our speech today, our dialect, we're using basic dial-up. Our speaking is dial-up compared to the data that's processed through telepathy. Like, so
you're saying that we're going to be developing that over time? Do you think as we ascend?
We're not going to develop it. It's already developed.
We're just going to bring it out.
Back on. All right. So you heard about the manipulation of the pineal gland, right? The decalcification of the pineal gland, and the manipulation of the 12-strand of DNA down to a 2-strand of DNA. What that did is it shut. So what these strands of DNA are basically antenna receiving from the environment, right? Giving us the ability to perceive outside of the visible light spectrum, where we could see into other realms, right? So all that was turned off so that we can descend in consciousness and have this full-on experience of forgetting who we are and really experience what the vibration of this universe has to offer, so that we become masters of vibration, so that we can leave this universe with the information and then do whatever we're going to do with it. So as we're descending down, we have completely forgotten who we are. I forgot where I was going with that. So now we're starting to wake up, right? We're starting to wake up. You can see it. Nikola Tesla coming in. We're moving into this age. The positioning of the stars are what's collectively holding us in an agreement of an experience. So we have these things coming in, these viruses. These are all mechanisms of fear to hold humanity back. But what it really is doing is it's pushing humanity to access their inner power to overcome the old paradigm. Because the old paradigm, the dissension paradigm, still has its hand in the pot, per se. So all these...
So it's kind of like doing its job too then, right? Like, you ever think about that? Well...
Design. It's all done by that. There is no death. There is absolutely no death to you. You are an eternal being. You're going to come in, you're going to live many different lives, male, female, different ethnicities, everything that you can, because you want to come in here to experience. We think of death as the end because we are unconscious. We have no idea where we came from. We have no idea about anything right now because we're just coming out of the Iron Age. We're starting to wake up to remember and kind of say, hey, wait a second. there's a thing called reincarnation, or wait a second, we have many lives, right? So we're starting to get this idea that it's happening, but the truth is we're an eternal being. So we come in and have many, many different lives. So there really is no good or bad. There is experience, and we create the experience to come in and have every experience there is to have in all different polarities of the experience.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, here's what I would like to stop doing is, if it's possible, I would like to go, into my next life and not have to live half my life before I finally start meeting the people that I want to meet. You ever notice that? Like, when did you meet, well, you and your wife were like sweethearts or something. When did I don't know y'all's story, but y'all really meshed though.
Yeah, I knew instantly. Like I when I was younger, I started dating when I was young. I was like 11.
Yeah.
And so I had a bunch of like girlfriends, I guess you can say. And then I seen Jamie when I was 15. Like I went to a firehouse dance, and man, the moment that I seen her, I knew. Like it was like,
right,
boom,
yeah,
done. That's it. That's her. Like I don't know if that was like my girl. Like
you got
I was
that
just
at 15 years old, man. Some people have to go like 40 years before that happens.
Well, then we dated for 5 months, and we wound up going our separate ways. The relationship didn't work out, and that was by design because she wound up hooking up with her ex, who they had 2 children together, Alex and Robert. And Alex and Robert had to be brought into this planet, and they needed the biology and the chemistry of Rob and Jamie to make up who they are. So in order for them to be who they are, they needed that agreement to come in as who they are. And then I needed the agreement to have the experience of stepchildren and what that experience is. And so it's all about experiencing and expression. And now here's the trick. Here's the key here. If you want to be a master of vibration, if you want to change your next life, like you just said, you want to meet your significant other from earlier. If you want to do that next life, start now. Because what's happening now is we're ascending. Okay, so ascending means we're becoming more awake, more awake, more awake. What we're going to find is that our codons inside of our DNA are going to start turning on, which is going to allow us to perceive more. Our third eye is going to start decalcifying instead of calcified, so that we can start tapping into higher realities. So we're going to become more awake. So when we die and we come back, we're not going to lose all the memory from our previous lives. And now we're seeing this with some kids coming in. You can Google some kids who have remembered their full incarnation. There was one kid, I forget his name, but he came in and remembered everything about his previous life. He was a Navy fighter jet. He fought in World War II, and he knew exactly where his plane crashed, and he knew all the crew members, all his guys. He knew his wife. He knew the family of his wife and everything. They brought him to the ship, whatever it was, the SS Melissa. They brought him there. They brought the crew members there, and he pointed to every guy out, called them by name, their nicknames, their families. He knew everything about them. So
that's, man, keep going. Sorry.
This happens. That's he's not the only one, right? This is starting to happening more and more now because we are moving into this new ascension process where the energy is so high, where we're able to retain our information. So if we start working on ourselves right now, it's not working on the external world per se, right? The external world is the byproduct of our internal environment. So we think it's the opposite. And we think we're working for the external world, but no, we're working for the internal world. We're working on becoming a master of the experience of whatever it is that's manifesting around us and being able to respond. And when you're able to respond, you're able to be conscious in the experience. So if, for instance, your next life, you want to meet somebody, you focus on having good relationships now.
Yeah, but like, you're talking about
now.
Like if I'm just now meeting you, and see, I believe in soul families, right? Like my son, my dad's part of one for sure. But there were people like in my early life, like some cousins and stuff that I thought were for sure my soul family, but they don't kind of feel that way now, you know? And I think I don't know how big our soul family is, but what I'd like to happen is, and I mean, obviously there's the process of like when you become a teenager and you have to develop the body and the mind and stuff. Right. Mm-hmm. But I don't want it to take so long next time to meet my soul family. So what you're saying is, it's like, this is kind of why I started the podcast. Like all these people in the chat room, I'm trying to vibrate this energy of, hey, this is who I am, and bringing it back this way. Does that make sense?
Right.
So
yeah, so let's talk about karma for a second. So what karma is the energy that you put into creating your life. So before you come into this existence, it's kind of like you have a goal that you want to achieve. Now, every day isn't predetermined based on the karmic tie that you have, but there is an overlay of an idea, whatever it is you're coming to experience in this lifetime. So that's your karmic tie. That's your karmic debt. And how you experience the experience in this life is your karmic tie. So if you come here to experience love, and then experience lack of love, and then experience hate, whatever it is you're here to experience, you're going to experience that. And it's how you handle that is how you're weighed on your karmic ties when you leave here. So you came here to experience XYZ. When you left here, did you experience that with love and compassion? Gotcha. Or did you experience that with fear and forget what you were here to do? And if that's the case, your next life will have a tint of your past life until you can master whatever it is you're here to master. Once you master whatever you're here to master, your next life, you can master something new.
Do you believe that you can change that? What I'm saying is like, while you're on the earth,
yes,
you know what your karma is. You've figured out why you're here. Can you make a statement to the universe and go, okay, look, I want to change this deal, right? Think about that. Like, if you know you were here to experience non-love, loving people that don't love you or whatever, you realize that this is your life thing or whatever. You can say, okay, I've learned my lesson, or I know why I'm here. Can I change that while I'm here? Because I feel like if we are these cosmic beings, then we should be able to do that.
Yeah. No, we can, but we're talking about a layer of an onion. I mean, there's so many layers. Our true soul's purpose, I mean, I don't think we can consciously comprehend what that is, right? It's more of an experience rather than a frontal lobe cortex of this is exactly what my purpose is.
Right.
It's an expression and an experience, whereas you'll have multiple experiences that manifest in your life that'll help you achieve the experience you're looking to experience.
Bro.
So it's not like you're feeling this way and you want to feel that way. That's a frontal cortex conscious thought in it per se. But your soul is manifesting it's manifesting this thing from the background that we're not conscious of, and we're just here to express and experience it. But it's always in control. Our soul is in control of every single thing in our lives.
But you read Journey of Souls by Michael Newton? You read that, right?
No.
Mm-hmm. All the 500 books you read, that's the one you're. It's funny because it's like it's like you're not. That book explains it. Like it's talking about everything you're talking about, basically. But the guy was a hypnotist, just like you know, and he took his clients deep into their past lives, even between lives, hundreds of them, thousands of them, and they all had these soul families, ties. And even the people that gave them the most grief and suffering in their life ended up being in their soul family, and they would end up hugging each other or coming together because they played this part, you know. It was
because there is no death. Even I think Joe Dispenza in his Becoming Supernatural, he talked about how in his past life he did a regression on himself, and in his past life he was teaching like he's teaching now, and the times were different. So it was kind of like Christian times where it was like you don't speak about things like, you know,
reincarnation, astral travel.
Yeah. Right. But he felt a need inside of him, and he wanted to share his guru's knowledge, and that was his journey to share his guru's knowledge. And he wound up getting tortured, and they broke his back. And the guy that was holding the machine, because he was tortured in front of the town, the guy that was pulling the machine that was torturing him was actually in his soul family. And he's like, that same exact guy is in my life today, and he's still causing me pain. He's like, it's absolutely amazing how this whole entire system works. But he goes, it's part of my journey and his journey, and together we're giving each other this experience. And that's what it's really about. But we're looking at it as a right and wrong thing, and a good and bad thing, and a judgment thing.
That's
why.
Yeah, I get.
That's why the avatars that came in said, "Thou shalt not judge," because we don't even know what we're judging. Right? It's so funny how people who live in glass houses throw stones.
Yeah, and
not understanding.
I think we want to do that. We want to look at like what's wrong and right, but we need to recognize here's what I've figured out. And this is, maybe it's just in my life, but it happens in other people's lives. When your soul really wants to work something out, you keep having cycles. You ever notice that?
Yes.
You'll cycle.
It's all cycles.
Yeah, you'll cycle, and then you'll go through this thing again. Then you'll go out of it. Then it comes back, and you go through this thing again. And it could be relationships. It could be jobs. It could be health.
Jobs.
And you're like, why do I keep having this thing that keeps happening? And that's the sign that goes, hey, you got to work this out. Once you work it out, then things are going to change for you. And it's those things are really the hard things. That's like Saturn going, here I am again, right? Like you're going to have to work this out.
Yeah. That's where you're in direct contact with your soul's purpose. You are in direct contact when that kind of stuff is happening. It's not easy. Who was it? Jim Rohn. One of my favorite quotes from him was, "Set the kind of goals that will make something of you when you achieve them." Right? I mean, how awesome is that? So that's our soul. Our soul says, "I don't care how hard it is." Right? You're here to do it.
That's right.
Let's do it. That's what we're here to do.
You go kicking and screaming sometimes, but you're going. We'll be right back. Last break. Jay Layton's with us.
It's the hard things that make it good.
Yeah, for sure.
From Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
All right, man, this is Crow 777, and you are listening to The Fringe FM.
Right, me old Chinas. I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me babble. If, like me, you found your way to Lighting the Void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality, to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of The Fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
From a cave in the depths of your mind, it's Lighting the Void with Joe Root.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Hey, I'm J.M. DeBoard, and when I want to talk about dreams, I look up my man Joe Root and his show, Lighting the Void.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
Man, I could probably talk to this man for hours at a time. But you know what, Jay Layton's our guest tonight. I don't think I could afford the bill. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Like if I talked to you for like 20 hours and all of a sudden, you know, tomorrow I'll get this bill in the mail. Like, what do you think? I did this for free? No, but seriously, you guys like take the free course. Well, we had 103 like Void Walkers do it, right? We need all of you to take it. It's a free course. And then it's really smart too, because when you do that, you kind of show the value of what you're offering people. And I believe in that, man. And I'm talking to you, the listener, too. Like these people that come on my show, they're just utilizing what the universe has given them to provide value to people. And in this world, you have to have money to live. So it's pretty simple, right? This is how this works. And you can do that too. Some of you guys I've talked to, your listeners, you can draw, you can write, some of you can talk like crazy. You could do podcasts. The world is open to you right now to express yourself in every way. I mean, I don't know how it could get more, like we manifested this consciously, I think. We manifested this tool to where not only can we express ourselves, but we can connect with people that we never thought we would connect with, that if we did live in the 1600s, we would have never met them. But we got tired of that consciously, so now we've made this internet thing. So what I'm saying is utilize it, man. Like, do something with it. If you're feeling that calling to do it, do it. Just go for it. I guess that's the Aries in me though, man. Like I see something I want or think about and I just could be a little dangerous, but you know what's worth it to me.
It is 100%.
How did you know you was going to do that though? Like when you decided, hey, I want to provide this service to people. Like when did it click for you in your head to start doing this?
Well, there's a lot of different aspects to what I do. Like, so, but really it started when I was like 16, 17.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Once I got out of high school, like I said, like I didn't read any books in high school. And I remember my mom giving me this book by Dick Suffin. And, it was like a basic spiritual book. And it was like 120 pages with like 4 stories inside of it. And I read that and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then, I just started reading, and then I was like, wow, this is like, I just felt a calling inside of me to really share. So everything I got that I received, I would turn around and share it with my friends and family, and they'd be like, whoa, what is that? And I'm like, wait, there's something to this. And that set me on a journey to trying to figure out, how do we use the information? I love information, but how do we use it? Like, I talk about the stars, but how do we use it, right? How do you use the stars' energy? Well, for instance, do a moon ceremony every new moon and full moon. And at the full moon, what you do is it's all about forgiveness and getting rid of, right? The new moon is about attracting things into your life. So we're talking about magnetic energy again, because the whole entire reality is based on magnetic energy. But it's about attracting and repelling. And the full moon is all about getting rid of what you want. So you want to be let loose. I forgive myself for this. I release this. I'm letting go of this. And you write it down on a piece of paper. And you write all the stuff down that you're releasing and forgiving. And then you burn it under the new moon. And there's more things you can do too. That's very basic.
Yeah, but that's one of the, I understand why you're doing it though. And because you understand how the soul, the subconscious and psychology works, all of that. So you're creating a method to speak to spirit that way, you know?
Power, and you're using the power of the moon. We know that there's power there. We know that there's an emotional power there, and we're using the power and we're assisting us with releasing that energy. And just like in the new moon, you want to attract things into your life. So you write a list of goals and things you want to do for the next fortnight, and that's what you would manifest for that month. And you would use the energy of the moon. So I think the past moon was in Pisces, right? So there was a new moon in Pisces. So you would do Piscean things, what your dreams are, what your aspirations are. So that was what I wrote down and what my I am. So what I do is I do the new moon, my goals, and then I turn around and take all my goals and I make them into affirmations. So for the new moon was in Pisces, it was about dreams and aspirations. And I had like my business ideas and what I wanted to achieve. And I put it all into I am affirmations. I had about 10 of them that I would read every morning. So when I got up, I'd get a notification from Google Keep with my I am affirmations based on the new moon's energy for that fortnight. So that's kind of how we could use the stars. So when I was growing up, I said, I want to get information and turn it into application. And that's what drove me down this incredible journey that I've taken of spirituality and tying it all into how we can use it and understanding the subconscious mind and how hypnosis plays into that. And
normally can I tell people like a little bit about my session with you? Just a little bit. Like, yeah. Like I'm not going to get into the personal stuff, but this is kind of how it started. Like, and you have different ways of starting things, I'm sure, because you do all kinds of different things for people. So this was like one of the methods that he used for me. He was talking about these, you were talking about these stairs and looking down, right? And then I would take a step and then another step but you were taking me under and I'm like, this ain't going to work. He can't take me under. Right. You know what I'm thinking? I'm like, it ain't going to happen. And then, once you get down to that next step, you're like, wait, you start slipping a little bit, right? You're like, you don't go into, it's not hypnagogia. It's more like, I don't know if it's because your mind is committed to it or whatever, but I wasn't like, it's hard to explain because I I could have totally like snapped out of it if I wanted to, but there was something that drove me to it for something. I don't know, man, but I trust you. So I gave you my trust. And then the cool thing is like when it's over, you get to listen to the whole thing. And he records it for you. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's always there for you to do. And that was one of the coolest, because I've tried a hypnotherapy thing before, and dude, it just didn't work for me. But this worked, man. And it triggered something inside me that caused, I'm telling you, man, a ripple effect of things to happen that not only people have talked to me about, astrologers and everybody. It's weird, man, how it happens, because they can see the energies coming with the planets and the moon and stuff, and all of a sudden I meet you and I have this session. Let me tell you something else that I did, too. All right? This will trip y'all out. So, you know about transits, astrological transits, right?
Yep, very important.
Okay. So, the other day I had a session with Barbara, who does EFT. So, I have these people. I have like you, I've got Barbara, I've got Mary, then I've got Jeff. And so, you know, I'm that's kind of like, I hate to tell you, but you're a part of the team, dude. You just don't know it. So
I love being part of the team.
Yeah. So, so it's like, I do this thing with her, this EFT thing. And I'm like, this ain't going to work, man. And that's how my mind goes, because I'm pessimistic. I'm like, this ain't going to work. But I suppose I'm going to tap on myself. But I looked at the data. That's why I wanted her to come here, because the data was showing this stuff works. And I know Barbara and how she is. But I didn't really realize her talent until I actually done it, you know, because I don't want to be promoting stuff that I don't do, you know. And I done it, man. And she was just like talking back to me as I was doing this stuff, as I was tapping, and an outpouring of emotion came out. So much I had to hide my face, you know, like, oh my God, like I couldn't stop it. And it's almost like she found it. She was like, well, where do you feel this or that? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go here, you know? And it's too late, because you're already in this thing. And when it was over, I was like, what the hell was that? And she goes, I know you think you're weak or something because you're a man, but I've talked to a lot bigger and tougher looking dudes than you, and they broke apart way worse than you did. I said, oh, okay, cool. So you're saying I'm tough. She goes, I don't know. We'll see. All right. But that doesn't matter. So I go to my astrological chart, and I pull up my transits, and my transits are showing Jupiter is trine Chiron, right? Which is, nice. And then the suffering healer, you know what I mean? And it says in my report on Solar Fire, it says, today you're going to let go of a deep-seated pain that goes all the way back to your childhood, and you're going to be surprised by the healer that you speak to. This person's going to surprise you. And I'm like, come on, man, you can't make this stuff up. You know. Too many synchros.
I love it. I love it. It's so amazing. Like when you really start to look at like how the real behind the scenes are really working and creating our reality. You know, it's like, it's incredible. You can't make it up. Like once you start looking into it, you can't ignore it. You can't be like, oh, this is bullshit. Oh, right. Sorry. You can't be like, this is like baloney.
You can't say shit, man. You know, like it's too late now. You can't. I didn't turn on the bypass. So
yeah,
it's not your fault.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my bad. So you can't make it up. I mean, it's the evidence is there. I mean, it's incredible really where we're moving into. It's incredible. And it's
but funny, why does it, you know what I'm trying to figure out is if we really have choice. I think about this. If we really have choice in the matter, then why does it seem like everything lines up perfectly, even the bad stuff, to get where you're going? I don't understand it. Like, it's like, okay, if there's fate, then why does all of this seem like a coincidence? And it's not like I have a problem with it. I just want to figure out why it's working that way, because I think it's cool,
right?
You know?
Yeah, well, like I said, there's multiple layers. It's like an onion, and there's multiple layers to you that, you know, you look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, this is who I am. That's an aspect of you, right? Because when you look at consciousness, right, we think consciousness is inside of our body. And this is why science can't find where actual consciousness is inside the body, right? Because consciousness isn't in our body. Our body is in our consciousness. So we are so much more than just our body. There's so many more levels to us that we can't consciously perceive the inner workings of certain things. We can have an idea of how they work, but really there's so many different layers of the onion that are working around us to bring us to a specific goal or a specific desire to manifest our reality for us. It's incredible. It really is. And the stars are assisting us. And this is why, you can go into your astrological chart and look into your transits, and it can pull up that exact data of what's happening that day for you. That's happening because the stars are really assisting us. That's how our higher self, our oversoul, creates particles to manifest in front of us. They use the star's energy, just like we use specific frequencies in television to create a picture on the television screen. We have 4K and all these different vibrational frequencies. The stars are doing the same exact thing, but they're placing three-dimensional holographic images inside of us and around us that are giving us these images. And once we become a match vibration to the frequency that we want to experience, that holographic image comes to us.
What trips me out is you might be surprised too. I was talking with Jay about this, like during the break. After you notice these cycles, if you have the courage enough, if you can push through it in this lifetime and beat it, right, you might just be shocked at what comes next. Because what I've noticed is, like, usually, if you get this, like, this bad, right, and you say, oh, this is a cycle, and you get out of it, or you push through it, you learn your lesson, there's this thing that happens that's very cool. And maybe it just happens to me, but I don't think so. I think it happens to everybody. The universe, it's like when you do what you're being guided to do, the universe rewards you in profound ways. Ways that you're like, that's not real. Is this real? Where you start denying it kind of thing, and you don't want to do that, by the way, because then you'll be in another cycle of denying really awesome things in your life,
Yeah.
But it does that. See, that's kind of something else I figured out too. Like when you're going the way that you're at, whatever you want to call it, your higher self, holy guardian angel, when you make a big breakthrough in your life, it's like, okay, we're not just going to give you $1 and a pat on the back. We're really going to show you that we're listening. Here you go.
Yeah.
It wants us to do this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does.
But yet, there's people out there dying of the coronavirus. So now what? We'd have to go back to that again.
We actually can, because I got something good about that.
All right.
But that's their experience. Like I said, there is no death the way we think death is, where there's nothing left. It's an expression and an experience, and we all choose to come in and we all choose to die certain ways to experience the death process in many different ways. So somebody dying, it's not for us to judge the experience, right? So once we judge that experience, we're then tying our emotional expression, our emotional bodies into that experience, and we become affected by that. But understanding that they are an eternal being and that they're going to basically come right back in and have another cycle, because we're here for 26,000 years. I mean, we're in it for the long haul, and we're just turning the curve. We're just turning the curve of the descension. So we have another 12,000+ years to go through this. And what's great is everybody's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah,
I'm out.
As soon as you pass away, you can't wait to come back.
Here's the thing, though. It's like setting up for a party, a massive party, right? There's a lot of preparation, all the stuff you got to do to set it up. It could be a pain in the butt. But then once you have the party, like, this is awesome. We are just moving into the party stage now, right? It took us a long time, 13,000 years to forget who we are, right? It took 13,000 years for that. And now we're just starting to wake up. We're moving into the awakening process now, where we're going to start remembering who we are, remembering our abilities and tapping into this awesomeness. So life is going to excel exponentially now. Like I said, we still have this old paradigm with its hand in the pop trying to hold us back. But once we take control of our own emotions, our own awareness, and our own power, which is our intentions, that's it. It's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. So getting back to the coronavirus real quick, this is awesome. So Sylvia Browne had this end of days book she published in 2008. And I just seen it on Facebook today. I thought I pulled it up and thought I'd share it today because it's good news. So she predicted in around 2020, a severe, what's that?
A severe
pneumonia-like illness. Yeah, a pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting to all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attacking again 10 years later and then disappearing. How interesting is that? So this is predicted in 2020, this is 2008, about this pneumonia and what's coronavirus doing. It's attacking the lungs, right? It's uncanny.
Yeah.
But what's fantastic is it's going to be gone as fast as it came. So there's hope for those people who are afraid of this whole thing. It's going to go. So we have two choices. We can think that it's not going to go, or we can collectively think that it's going to go and become a collective consciousness and direct our attention in removing this from our space. So we've seen this with the Maharishi Mahesh effect with group meditations. And through group meditations, when you take 1% of the population, it brought down crime, it brought down hospital visits. I mean, it really brought peace into the environment, just 1% of the population. This is why I think monks, I always talk about this is why I think monks live in the hills. I mean, I think there's like 1% of the population that are monks that are kind of holding the whole thing together for us, right?
Yeah, I always thought that. Like they're keeping us from destroying ourselves because they're holding it. Yeah. 2
lives ago, my last life, my 2 lives ago, I was a monk, and I was preparing for this time right now. So it's a lot of the information that's coming to me. I've been studying for a very long time, not just in this life, but in that life. And it's certain things that happen in this life that trigger those memories that allow me to have access to that information, like the information based on the stars and how the stars work. I mean, you really don't find that stuff in books. I mean, we have the idea of astrology, what astrology is, but the actual mechanics of how the stars and the constellations are propagating light and energy into our system. And it's creating our collective agreement and our experience. It's not really, you don't find that in books anywhere. You'll find it in the ancient esoteric books.
It's getting late for you, huh? You're starting to slip, brother.
My brain is,
yeah. Well, welcome to the late night. This is where we go into hypnagogia as we speak, and then we don't know what's going on. It's funny too, man. I had a girl in the chat room. She was like, I think it was Abby the other day. She said, "Hey, have any of you guys ever been listening to Lighting the Void, fall asleep, only to wake up to hear Ryan Gable talking about something dark?" Like, yeah, yeah, I've done it before, so we've all done that. But it's, it's cool having you back on the show. Listen, tell everybody what you got to offer, the free course, all that stuff. We're going to eventually put links up and stuff on the site too, but I want everybody to do this, at least the free one.
So, the free one, the Soul's Dream. I mean, it's an 8-lesson, 8-hour course based on all the information, my life's work from when I was 16 to last year. And I put it all into this course. And then I felt that it was so valuable that everyone should have access to it. I just put it out there. And it was actually my first videos that I ever actually shot of myself on video. So, I mean, it might be a little dry with my personality because I'm my first time on video, but the information is extremely, extremely good. And for anybody who is looking to, overcome something or bring something into their lives, my spiritual life coaching can definitely help you. And for a basic session, it's $197. And if you use the checkout code LTV for Lighting the Void, I will donate $25 to the show, and I'll give a $25 coupon to the participant.
Yeah, we need the donations too to pay for this fancy phone system. So hook it up,
Yeah, yes. It's interesting. It's just like giving a cup of coffee, right?
That's it.
$5. It's only a cup of coffee. If we were hanging out, I'd be like, here's $5, it's a cup of coffee.
Yeah, when are we going to do that?
Yeah, hopefully soon. That'd be awesome. Maybe we'll do a conference.
Speaking of which, we're going to, after the Ozark conference, I think I'm going to be heading to Cali. Never been to Cali. So
that's exciting.
I'll tell you about that after the show. I don't want to announce anything just yet, but yeah, we're going to be going places and doing stuff. So thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, brother. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure hanging out with you. You're such a great host. You're so easy to talk to, and it's like chilling in my living room.
Right on. That's the way it should be. But we do got to get out of here, man. You guys go check out the website, like ASAP, jlayton.com, all the other websites that are there too. Give them out one more time, because I'll say I'm wrong if I do it. You got 3 of them, man. I'm used to people having one.
Yeah, jlayton.com, thesoulsdream.com, and themastersoctave.org.
There it is. Go get it. Links are going to be in the archives too if you want to re-listen to the show. We'll be back tomorrow night at the same time. Thank you to all you guys in the Fringe FM chat. Amandala, Jeremy, Pacho, Don. Love you. Good night.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.